let's start the show.
It's June 12th, 2014. Welcome to This Is Only a Test, the official podcast of Tested.com. I'm Will Smith. Norman Chan, how are you doing today,
Hello.
sir?
I'm doing all right.
You look especially peppy this morning, afternoon,
No,
early.
I had no sleep last night, so I don't know how that's happened.
That's good. Directly to your left is you've been here before, but
Yeah.
this is your first. This is only a test appearance.
I guess that's
I think.
true. Is it?
You've been on Oktobercast where
Yeah.
you cursed and then punched people.
I didn't. I slapped you.
Yes.
It wasn't a punch. It was open-handed.
Let me tell you.
With the
How much
ring
was
on.
that slap worth?
Veronica, it was worth 10. We crossed a $10,000 boundary. That was
Yes,
was
yeah.
the guideline for slaps.
It happened pretty quickly.
Veronica Belmont, thanks for coming by.
Of course.
You have been quite the world adventurer lately.
Oh goodness.
I heard you were in Orlando, Florida last week.
I was in China first.
Oh, China.
That's you're bearing the lead there. I was
yeah.
I was in China, and then I was in Orlando at IBM Innovate,
Okay.
and then I was in. I just got back from Chicago last night.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you what I want to hear about is China. Because I
Okay.
saw a picture of you holding a panda bear.
I did.
Right.
I still get really excited when I think about it. I'm sorry.
I saw that. I was like,
Squee
Wait,
there.
is it one of those was it a zoo or preserve? Or?
Yeah, it was the Chengdu Panda Research Base.
Okay.
And that's where they breed the pandas for the zoos in China, and also to give out on loan to other countries.
That's really
that have zoos.
the research you need to do with pandas. How to get them to reproduce.
With a lot of difficulty.
they don't like reproducing, it seems
They
like.
are very lazy when it comes to sex.
They're like
Wow.
eating the bamboo.
They have to trick the pandas into mating.
Really?
There's even one where they will trick the male panda into falling over on top of
Are
the
you
female.
kidding?
No,
Like he might
no,
just
this is
actually
real.
fall in and copulate?
Yeah.
That's
that is
amazing.
the best kind of
It is.
research.
They are really lazy. They just don't care, and they also if they're not interested in
Yeah.
another panda, they're like, no, forget it.
So they're just doomed.
Actually, this is something I've kind of learned in my experience in going to the research base and learning more about the pandas. Pandas, I think, are only alive because they're cute at this point. Because they don't, if you think about it, they don't look like their surroundings at all.
Oh, yeah.
They're black and white. They don't blend in
They,
with their
they
environment.
should be highly toxic to predators
Yeah.
based on their coloring.
They don't. They used to eat meat back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
way back in the day. But they only eat plants now, so they're pretty much they have one food source that they really rely on.
That's unusual for bears, too, right?
Yeah,
They're
bears are
usually
super omnivorous. Yeah, and I mean they are technically omnivorous, but they just don't really deal with other things other than bamboo. So if something happens to the bamboo, they're kind of screwed.
Well, the good news is bamboo is essentially a weed, right? It just grows out of
Yeah.
control. So that
That is also
yeah.
true. And then they just don't really. They're not that interested in doing it.
Wow. I mean, there's a lot of environmentalists who dislike environmentalists who are only environmentalists for cute animals.
Yeah.
Right? Like the slime molds and the banana slugs and all that stuff.
Coral reef.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
coral reef's pretty cute.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Because then you can go on vacation and see it and stuff.
Yeah, scuba diving, all that
So
stuff.
yeah, the pandas, they were pretty amazing, and the panda I hung out with was named Cece. She was
Okay.
a female.
Is she designated the one that you get to hug?
They trade off, so they
Oh,
don't want the pandas to get too tired. So she was a
Okay.
baby. I believe she was 10 months old,
Wow.
and but she was big girl.
Yeah.
And the way they kind of get them into the mood to hang out with people is they literally pour honey all over their hand, and they just sit there and go meow meow meow.
On the bear's
Wow.
hand or on your
the
hand?
bear's hand.
Oh, I was going to say that. Okay.
They just sit there like a little fat belly, just sitting there. Meow,
And
meow,
are you
meow.
holding the panda like a baby?
No, you're
a
kind of
puppy?
hanging out with them like an awkward date.
yeah, it was like hover
Kinda
hands
like
almost.
hover
Hover hand
hands.
panda.
I went in for the belly rub, which
Okay.
not everyone did, and I was really glad that I did.
So what, okay, on the fur spectrum, you have soft kitten fur,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have maybe camels or some sort of where does what does a panda feel like?
Well, the problem was I could only touch him with a gloved hand.
You could still tell
So
though.
it was rougher than I expected.
Okay.
So definitely not kitten, more like what is it? Nothing.
Have you ever pet a grizzly bear or something, or a
I
black
have
bear or
not.
something
I
like that?
have no other bear experience, so I can't really make that connection. A little bit rougher than. I'm trying to even think if there's a very coarse dog.
Maybe like a horse or something like that?
A horse is softer, more fine,
Kind of, yeah, can be.
velvety.
Yeah.
This was a little fluffier and rough, kind of like a grass, like a gentle grass.
But not like a sheep or something like that.
Not like a sheep.
Okay.
It's very hard to describe.
Yeah,
I'm
this
realizing.
is well, it's hard. In general, it is hard to describe sensations using like
a coarse
smells.
rug.
Okay. So like like an alley cat maybe.
Like maybe
Like
a
a kinda
cat that's
dirty
seen better
cat.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. But it's thick. It's very
Okay.
thick.
What like in the dog spectrum? Are we talking about like poodles?
It's not.
It's not
curly.
coarse and curly like that.
No.
Yeah. This is a much more challenging thing than I
Well,
anticipated when I asked the
it's like
question.
a panda.
Okay.
It's
So
what
you
it comes
just
down
have to go meet
You
a
got to
panda.
go feel a panda.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I'll send a note to the
There's a
National
panda
Zoo.
in San Diego.
Really?
In San Diego Zoo
Yeah.
has a panda.
It's a red panda in our zoo now too.
Yeah.
Oh, red pandas are
Yeah,
better.
I saw red pandas there.
I saw
They're
red
like
pandas
cute
at our zoo.
raccoons.
Little firefoxes.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
see we go ahead and tell you when you have a kid, the local zoo becomes a huge attraction.
I bet.
Thanks for introducing web browser tabs.
Nice job, guys. You beat Internet Explorer, and then we're destroyed by Google.
Yeah, but I was on the panda was only a small part of the tour. I mean, we were on a food tour of China, so we went to
Ooh.
like 5 different cities and just basically ate our way through really interesting
Did you eat
local
snake?
delicacies. No, I ate frog ovaries.
Okay.
Frog ovaries.
Ovaries. I also ate frog.
How does how are frog ovaries served?
They are so first they're dehydrated. They're removed from the frog, dehydrated. That's how they kind of get them.
Okay.
And then they're rehydrated.
They've gotta be
and
really
it's very
small, right?
gelatinous, very small, kind of gelatinous, tasteless mostly. They flavor them with things like coconut milk.
Then why?
It's like a tonic. So like for ladies, for example, it's supposed to make you more fertile. I'm not trying to get more fertile. It was just a part of the food tour internet. Thank you.
You were just hitting it.
caveat that.
You were transferring some mojo to the pandas.
Yeah, all the dudes ate it too. So
Okay.
yes, I was trying to I snuck some in for the
Right.
pandas.
Here you go. Frog ovaries are good for you.
It's like the Spanish fly of China.
Yeah, exactly. Or Spanish frog is the case,
Spanish
maybe.
frog.
Waste not.
Um,
Everything's a delicacy.
Yeah, donkey, camel foot.
Camel
lots
foot?
of many types of intestine, many
Lots of
types of
tripe.
innards, and lots of tripe.
Yeah.
What else?
tripe is surprisingly tasty if prepared well.
Yeah, like we had it in hot pot, Szechuan hot pot.
Yeah.
So it's which is super spicy and delicious and flavorful, and so
Mm-hmm.
you can pretty much put anything. I had chicken testicles for hot pot.
So
Also.
tiny.
No, they're not that tiny
Really?
actually. No, they were kind of like this big.
Well, I guess the eggs are big, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Gotta come
Why
from
not?
somewhere.
Yeah.
And they tell you, they telegraph what you're eating.
Yes,
Before-
everything. Yeah, we were made aware. We were on a food tour with a chef named Fuchsia Dunlop, who is one of the world's most most renowned Chinese food experts. So even though she's British, she has lived in China for a long time, and she travels there extensively, and has written several James Beard-winning books about
Oh, cool.
About Chinese cuisine.
You want like secret places, maybe not secret places, but you off the
Local
normal
joints, yeah.
tourist beaten track.
Definitely.
Give me the exo sauce and I'll be all right.
So was this like it was like an episode of what's his name's
No
book?
Reservations.
Ed
No
Bourdain's book.
Reservations,
Yeah.
What's the new one?
Parts unknown.
Parts Unknown. Thanks, Norm.
Yeah, he was actually in China while we were there. We didn't cross paths. He's like my idol, so
Yeah, he's great.
Have
I
you
would
seen
have gotten creepy stalkery if I'd seen him.
There's an Asian chef who does something very similar. I think he's friends with Bourdain.
David Chang?
Not David Chang, Eddie Huang.
Oh.
He does a show for Vice, fresh off the boat.
Oh yeah,
I've
I've heard of
watched
that. I
that.
haven't seen that yet.
It's just like Bourdain show, except he is loudmouth and hilarious.
They
And
both
they
kind of
both-
are.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Different in different ways.
Well, the new Bourdain show is a little more like it's kind of a little more almost deliberate than Nova's. I mean, it's essentially the same show.
They're all the same shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, the layover, this show,
Yeah.
Cook's Tour.
But
they're
it
all
seems
very
like
similar.
I think because he's kind of mellowed out as he's gotten older.
Yeah.
And it's a little more like
Zen.
here's some stuff that you should probably know that we think is interesting, and then here's the other stuff, and I'm gonna eat some food with this guy, and then we're gonna go see something horrible or awesome, depending on which country we're in.
Yeah, I'm getting really hungry just even thinking about
sorry.
his shows and also that tour. Great stuff. Though.
So any other highlights? You went to the Great Wall.
Yeah, we went to the Great Wall. We went to Tiananmen Square. We went to the Forbidden City.
Were you there around the time of the anniversary?
No, that's coming up.
Or it was just past.
Just
actually.
Oh, the June. Wait.
June 6th.
Oh, I
it
thought
was,
it was
no, before 6th.
You're right.
But
It was it was 2 weeks ago. It was
For
on
some
2
reason, I
weeks
thought
ago.
it was the
Yeah,
25th.
yeah.
I don't know what I'm thinking of.
But is it true that when you're walking around there as an American tourist, no one locals don't know about Tiananmen Square?
Oh, no, they know.
Okay.
Yeah,
They
at
just
least
don't
our
acknowledge.
guides. I mean, we weren't actively talking to a lot of people outside our group, but we were, 'cause language barrier.
Okay.
But our tour guides were definitely, pretty worldly. I mean, maybe they're the exception, but they seem to think that people were very frustrated with the state of, with the state, really.
Yeah.
They're frustrated with some of the ways that things are going, clearly, especially with censorship, and they're aware of how things are outside of the Great Firewall, and they want to have that, and it's pretty frustrating to not be able to do it.
So when you were in the country, were you like, as Americans, do you get a bypass past the Great Firewall? Or
Oh no. Well, I mean, we VPN'd.
Okay.
So we were able to access Twitter and Facebook and things like that.
Can you describe that experience behind the Great Firewall? Like if you go into an internet cafe or plug in, what can you access and what can't you access?
Well, so we were very cautious, especially just for cybersecurity reasons. So we brought burner laptops, burner phones. We didn't. We changed all of our passwords before we left. We changed them all when we got back.
Everything that you accessed, I assume.
Even things I did not access.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Just to be on the safe side.
Did you bring your 1Password file with you, or did
I
you?
brought a special travel vault of
Okay.
1Password that was separate from my master list.
Wow.
So we were very trying to do everything we could to be safe. And I don't know any of my passwords anyway, so I
Right.
didn't
Yeah,
have to.
My password is click up to the right, and
Right.
click
Right.
again.
Right. One
But what's
password
the
is a
fear?
lifesaver.
And
Well,
what-
the fear is that, I think especially for, like, my husband works for AOL, for example, so they were, pretty concerned about him going to a country where it's, there's a lot of corporate espionage and things of that nature, so he wasn't supposed to log into any of his work accounts or anything like that.
Oh no.
I know, darn, I'm on vacation, I can't
Shucks.
answer work email.
Sorry, guys.
But we had both set up travel email addresses too, that, so if you hit our emails, you would get a forwarded message saying, this is where you can contact us for the next 3 weeks. But we're not checking it all the time. But yeah, so when we would go into hotels and stuff and go on the local Wi-Fi, the Google results were a little strange. I mean, most of it all comes back in Mandarin anyway, so you have to translate it usually. But there wasn't really a lot of like us trying to access something and not being able to get to it because we were using Viper VPN to get into,
Got it.
to get outside and whether we were dialing in from Singapore or from Australia didn't really make too much of a difference. So yeah, we didn't have a lot of firsthand experience with the censorship type stuff.
The firewall stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. While we're talking about security stuff, I've been, over the last year or so, I've gotten increasingly paranoid about plugging in strange USB things. Like
Yeah.
you go into the not into the computer, even into the laptop. When you go and you look at those, like the charger walls, right? Presented by so and so.
Oh, you're nervous about those? Yeah, that makes
I don't
sense.
like any of those. Like, I feel like that is once you give somebody physical access to your stuff.
I mean, like a USB charger,
like a USB
or
charger for your I mean,
for your
there's
phone.
There's rootkits for phones
like
that
they
you plug a
have-
USB device in,
Right.
and they gain
That
full
was an
access to the
issue.
machine.
Where was that? That was like last year. There was.
It came out as part of the Snowden stuff. Is that obviously the NSA and police departments have had that stuff for years, but once the police departments have something, I just assume everybody that wants it is going to have
Well,
it.
yeah. I mean, I'm still looking at every single ATM that I go up to make sure it doesn't have like,
Oh, yeah.
like a
The
card,
card
like
reader.
strip reader.
Yeah, gas
on
pumps
it.
are the real killers for those.
Are they?
Yeah,
Oh,
they
yes.
put them on the outside of that gas pump. So yeah, make sure you got to kind of eyeball it and look. Does this look right? But
Yeah.
the newer ones, I don't know. It's
They have
what
the
Stephen-
cameras that look down too, so they can see you typing in your
Oh,
password
yeah.
and stuff.
Well, what's Krebs? Krebs on Security has a blog where he has had over the years collected pictures of all the skimmers that sit on top of ATMs and
Right.
gas station pumps and stuff like that. And the ones that are on gas station pumps now are indistinguishable unless you have prior knowledge of
What it looked
what
like.
it looked like before.
Oh, damn.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, had never thought about those charging stations as being something to worry about, and now I will forever. So
Well, that in the U.S., the place that it started for me was at CES. We were in one of the terrible restaurants there, and they have wall jacks that have the USB ports in them. And I
Nathan's
thought-
hot dog
Yeah, it's Nathan's hot dog. Thanks,
And-
Nathan.
and USB wall jacks.
hungry.
And I just couldn't I was like, wait, this is probably unwise. I mean, this is probably okay in the real world. But all it would take is somebody opening this up, putting a little tiny arm thing in there with a Wi-Fi connection that connects to the conference Wi-Fi, and they'll root your phone. So anyway,
Something scary to think about.
yeah, there's always scary stuff. Should we talk about E3 a little bit? It's E3 week.
I didn't go.
Wow.
But we can talk about it.
No, it's fine. Well, we talk about stuff all the time without any firsthand knowledge. It's perfect.
Welcome to the internet.
Yeah. This was as an overall picture, it seems like a really software heavy year, which is probably a good thing. New consoles are out.
Games.
People are making
Get back
games.
to the games, yo.
But it's like you're out of control.
Sorry,
Veronica.
I got excited.
No, it's
Yeah.
fine. It's fine.
Weird.
There's not that many games for this year, it turns out. It's all like Nintendo has a pretty good lineup.
Which is, I mean, good for Nintendo.
Yeah.
I mean, I always feel a little sad when we talk about Nintendo for some reason, and I think their software is their specialty, really. I mean, the hardware stuff just hasn't been working out so well in recent years.
Have you played Mario Kart? Do you have a Wii U?
In my life? I
No.
do not have a Wii U anymore.
Okay, so
You're waiting for the right games for the Wii U.
Yes.
The critical mass, the floor
I
of
had a
games.
Wii U for a while.
I
and
thought
gave
the
it
anymore,
away.
the anymore was the more telling part there. So it looks like that's going to become a first party platform. Like it seems like all the other developers, even all the other publishers, even Ubisoft, are kind of like, it's not.
So
I
many
don't know.
Labbits or Rabbits, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Rabbids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like you look at what Nintendo's putting out on that platform, and like it is, while it is a technically inferior platform to the Xbox One or the PS4, like the games will still look
From
great.
a graphics
from a
process.
graphics,
Yes,
from a
standpoint.
CPU and
technically
GPU.
inferior.
Yes. Like it doesn't matter the way they're using it. I mean, it's just interesting that you see that backing away, and while at the same time the other platforms still kind of aren't getting a ton of games. A lot of the stuff was delayed, like Batman, which was originally a 2014 title, was pulled back, and it's just
Good. Less crowded fall. So what did Nintendo announce?
Nintendo announced. Smash Brothers. I don't know if you know Smash Brothers is coming out.
Yeah, didn't Conan play it on the
think
Conan
so,
show? I
yeah.
think he did his.
I don't trust that.
Why?
You think it's crooked? You think they
that's
pay for
absolutely, They do. They pay for it.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
Oh,
the Conan
absolutely.
stuff, yeah.
They've got to.
Yes. And as long as you watch it purely for entertainment and not for awareness.
Well, it's not really a review. It's not a real
it?
review.
No,
Yeah.
he's
bad at
It's
it.
fun.
Which is fun.
It's funny.
It's fun.
So Super Smash Brothers is their big game for this fall.
That's the big game. The thing that was interesting to me was Mario Maker, though.
Yeah, they're coming after Minecraft a little bit.
I don't think it's that.
I don't think it's gonna do that.
No.
But people have been saying that.
It's Mario Paint.
It's
Yeah.
well, it seems like you can make like
Level
Mario
making.
levels.
Yeah, you can make Mario levels.
Which
yeah.
I would love to make Mario levels conceptually. I don't think I will very much, but it seems like a really great idea.
Did you not see the photo of Miyamoto and the two kids? He was demoing Mario Maker 2, looking at the happiest kids ever.
I don't trust those kids on those stages.
It wasn't the stage; it was on the floor.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't
They're
trust
plants.
when there's a
Plants.
kid that a kid actor that they hire to come out and be the kid to do something and
Because
have
kids
fun.
wouldn't be. I mean, was it
Kids
open
don't like
day?
games.
Was it the like?
Yeah.
It was the last day, so it could have been a real kid.
Yeah, I think it was real kid.
Could've
Do they
been
let
real
kids out on?
Yeah, when you're allowed to just come to E3. Yeah, I think you can.
I don't
No,
think
no,
there's
I don't
no
think
there's no
anyone-
open day.
So where did that kid
no,
get there?
no.
There's
I
no
think
open
he
day
was
anymore.
special like prize
Hired.
winners or.
Have there ever been an open date? Am I just
No, you
making
think
that up?
that's-
Or
you
am I
think
thinking
of
of
TGS
Comic-Con?
and
TGS.
the one in Germany, Gamescom.
Oh. Oh.
E3
Yeah.
is industry event.
Oh.
Yeah, it's all suits. Everybody's
Oh.
wearing suits.
Except for the cosplay.
Nobody wears suits. Hardly anybody wears cosplays at E3 anymore.
Someone was complaining on Twitter. Oh, Scott Butterworth was.
Butters.
Butters.
Butters too.
Yeah. I forgot that you guys know. I always forget that I know you guys from Future, and that's where we know all the same people from.
Yeah, and it's weird walking around someplace like E3 because you realize that it seems like maybe a third of the games industry is people who used to work at Future.
Yeah.
And are way more successful.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, he's running Twitch.
Yeah. Or
Whoa,
hey,
he's at Facebook.
he's in charge of Halo. Or
Yeah. Yeah.
in charge of Halo.
Yeah.
The
Or hey,
dude-
he's writing the new Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Shit.
What are we doing with our lives?
So we saw some other games. Norm, you and Joey went to see Metal Gear Solid, which, just to be clear, when you and Joey start talking about Metal Gear Solid, it is incomprehensible to me.
There's a lot of lore.
I-
Joey knows a lot more. We didn't see a lot of game demos because
No.
we were there for the hardware. There are lots of games. It's always fun to see E3 because we're all people who've been to E3 and CES in completely different conventions, even though they're both industry events. CES it's what, like football fields stacked on top
It's
of
really
football
big.
fields times 3, and E3 it's really manageable.
Yeah, you can get around pretty well.
And the crowds aren't bad at all. They've really done a good job because it reached that critical mass. And they went to Santa Monica and had a big reset.
Yeah, I've gotten really proud of my ability to get around at CES, actually. Like, crowd
Yeah.
navigation. You don't have to worry about that at E3.
No.
Well, and it's all the other thing about CS is you have to really plan your days based on geography because there's like 3 halls, they're spread out all over the place, and then there's also people in suites all around town.
Yeah.
You have to you have a day that you go to suites, and then you have floor days. And if you mess up and book somebody in suites on a floor day, you'll lose like 2 hours in the middle of the day getting to and from places.
But E3, it's also a higher percentage of good stuff. There's a lot less filler.
That's true.
And that makes it a little overwhelming because we're only there for a day, and walking around the south halls and the west halls of the LA Convention Center, like I want to see that game, but we're never going to get a chance because most people are waiting in line and we don't have appointments, and so
Yeah, the lines are kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
When you want to get some hands-on time with stuff.
But the good thing about those conventions is after E3, they just go to Comic-Con, they go to PAX, and so there are a lot of places where people who aren't in the games business can get early access, and play those same demos and see those big displays.
I was going to say, I think the thing that's changed about E3, and one of the reasons it's a little bit smaller, is that if you're just a dude who works at GameSpot or something, GameStop, sorry guys.
A little slip there.
Then you can go to PAX. You can get a PAX pass, and you can go see early Borderlands or early, all the stuff that's going to come out at wintertime, play it before everybody else, and get that experience. And you don't have to fight your way into E3, which kind of isn't really. It's less and less for going and playing games on the floor than it ever has been before.
So did you guys get hands-on time with the Oculus Rift stuff?
So we went for hardware. We
Right, so
only go
that's-
for hardware.
That's hardware, Norm.
That's hardware.
And so Oculus, Sony Morpheus, and
So I'm agreeing with you.
yes,
Yeah.
and Control VR were the big things that we saw.
Oh, cool.
And I guess we should just talk about Oculus. That's the first. That's the big.
I think
thing.
that's the one that everybody wants to know. Like the thing that was different this year, it's been fun watching them over the last, I guess, 2 years now. Start with like a cool prototype and like some real rough tech demos and a product that kind of made people, they're like, you shouldn't use this for more than 15 minutes. It's a bad idea to do that.
I threw up once after using it.
Really?
Yeah.
In terms of things that potentially can change the world, it is so unlike iPhone, smartphones where it just dropped. And one day in 2007, it existed. Here we followed the trajectory from 2012 summer at QuakeCon, where it was duct tape around ski goggles, and then CES, where when we met with them at CES, they were excited that they were going to potentially beat out like an Alienware system for best thing at CES or something, and counting the votes.
Well, I saw it at a backroom demo at PAX Prime in 2011, I think, and it was 2012. Yeah, 2012, and it was crazy rough. Like it was they were demoing Doom, and Doom 3 looked really neat, but it was like, yeah, this is really, really hoopty looking.
Were you at that demo that was just down the street, like here in Soma?
In GDC, yeah.
Yeah, for GDC.
Yeah.
I think that was the first time I got hands-on time with it.
Oh, really?
And I got a little bit motion sick. But
That's the one that you're not supposed to get motion sick with.
I know, but I'm really sensitive too, so I'm like their worst case scenario.
Oh, okay.
I have trouble with 3D movies. I have trouble with a lot of that stuff.
There's been a fair amount. Dana Boyd posted something on Twitter a few months ago that was really interesting, and there's been some research that shows that women and men do stereoscopy differently.
I did not know that,
Yes,
really.
it was super interesting because my wife has the same problem. She can't play first-person shooters even because they make her nauseous. So
in terms of the way your brain processes a 3D image, from a 2D image, there's parallax, and then there's also, I forget what's the other method that your brain uses, but parallax is when you shift left and right, items in the foreground move differently, and there's one technique that 3D movies and 3D entertainment uses parallax as the way to trick your two eyes into thinking it's a 3D image, and that is what in one research that I think Dana Boyd did, in one study, found that her female colleagues and the female research subjects were worse at recognizing.
Wow. Yeah, I'll have to go read that because that would be very relevant to my situation. I thought it was just because one of my eyes is nearsighted and the other's farsighted.
I have that.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, well then I guess it's not.
But you wore
astigmatism.
over glasses.
I did not then. I was using
Wait,
contacts.
are you sure that's an astigmatism? Because I've called it that, and people have said-
astigmatism is
I
when
have
the center is off.
So I have a lot of stuff going on in this situation.
You got some eyeball business.
Yeah, I've got some
Okay.
business. So one's nearsighted, one's farsighted. My farsighted. Wait. So if I see, so that's the one, nearsighted is where you can see up close.
Yeah.
Right? So my nearsighted eye is my left eye, which has the astigmatism.
Okay.
And my right eye needs correction more than my left eye. So when I'm wearing contacts, I only wear one contact lens. And that corrects the
But then
right
you
eye.
have the astigmatism, which you've probably adjusted to in the.
Oh, I'm
in
sorry,
the
my
nearsighted
right
eye.
eye is the nearsighted eye. And my left eye is the far-sighted eye with the
Fascinating.
astigmatism. And so I think when I was using Oculus, both eyes weren't being corrected. So my glasses correct the issues I have with the astigmatism, but my contacts do not. So perhaps I was getting some kind of field of vision thing, or
And the
not
optics
being
can
able
be
to-
individually tweaked per eye in the dev kit. I know sitting in
cool.
those demos, they don't give you a lot of time to fix the glasses
Right.
for your
Right.
specific vision.
Well, and if you get like outside of the sweet spot for the lens, even then it kind of warps the whole thing. So
Yeah.
you got to get anyway.
But this is the big concern for them because they need to the point is to make VR something that can be adopted by the masses,
Yeah.
not just gamers.
And everybody's different.
And
so
everyone
it's-
is different. The big thing in the Wired article that they talked about was when the CEO of Oculus went over to Valve and sat in Michael Abrash's demo, which was the famed room with the QR codes and the head tracking there. He got no nausea. He is very susceptible
Oh, okay.
to it. But that's not the technology that they're going to use in this Oculus. Like what they're locking down is the motion tracking based on the camera that's sitting in front of you, the positional tracking camera, the IMUs they have in the Oculus, and then just lowering that latency so that when you move and when your eyes move, you're going to see what you expect to see. The brain expects to see.
It doesn't. It's that it doesn't display incorrect information.
Yeah,
It
'cause
only
there's
displays
that
correct
lag.
information. Yeah.
There's that lag really causes a fuck up in your brain.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and it's some people are much more susceptible to it than others. It seems like there's a range. It seems like.
Gotcha.
But this meeting actually wasn't really about hardware. Like they were running DevKit 2, which is the thing that's shipping for people who bought it in July. They said I think they're going to ship more of the DevKit 2s, or they're hoping to ship more DevKit 2s in the first week than they did the entire run of DevKit 1.
Well, they're going to do about 30. They've sold 40,000 pre-orders.
Awesome. That's
and,
great.
And while they'll say to you, "Oh, that shows you how many developers are excited about this," a considerable amount of those are just gamers who want early access.
Definitely.
I don't know if they haven't revealed how many people have downloaded the SDK, but I would assume individual users signed in, download the SDK, far lower than the actual 40,000.
I actually bet you're wrong because I know for a fact
You
that
downloaded the SDK?
yeah, I downloaded the SDK.
I didn't, so that's lower than 40,000.
Well, but on the other side of it is companies like Double Fine who've been doing Oculus, like they did an Oculus Game Jam last year, right? Where they just made some cool Oculus demos, and they had like 2 or 3 dev kits for the whole company and 60 people working on different stuff. So for every one of us, I bet that there's a small development studio someplace.
I'm
with
not
5
saying that there
people.
aren't developers. I'm just saying that it's not 40,000 developers. It's not a massive.
Oh, I bet it's more than 40,000 developers.
But it's a lot of people too.
Yeah,
Like
no,
non-developers
of course,
also.
of course, I agree. Those
so
people should not buy that.
Enthusiasts.
Yes.
People who've pre-ordered the DK2 will get theirs either in early August or late July. They're estimated to ship out 30,000 in July, and then the rest in August. And if you can still pre-order now, you will get it in
So
early
did
August.
you try Alien Isolation?
We did. We
Yes.
tried all 3 demos.
Was it scary?
Oh my god!
Was it so scary?
Were you recording when I screamed?
No.
So the setup for Alien Isolation.
Oh, I never want to play. I will never play it.
Here's the thing about it. This was probably the least of the 3 demos. This was the one I liked the least. I liked it quite a bit.
Okay.
But you start out on a spaceship. It opens up. You kind of can look around and walk around. You control yourself with a gamepad. But it's very dark and moody and kind of it's very reminiscent of the Nostromo, right? In Alien, where there's a lot of corridors and there's cool doors and all sorts
Kind
of
of
stuff
like a
like
Doom level.
that. Yeah, it's dirty future, not clean future.
No, this is a demo made specifically to showcase Oculus support.
Right.
So it's not like the game's coming out in October, but this isn't necessarily a level that's going to be in the game.
Okay.
And it's like they weren't even committing to VR being a part of the game. This is just something that they ginned up as a small
Well, yeah,
project
because it's coming
on the
out
side.
for
Right.
for consoles anyway.
People are going to play this game on a TV, and this is a different experience than you got on the TV.
And I will probably not play in any way.
I can't play. Well, so
I'm a giant baby.
but one of the things they talked about is jump scares. Because the thing I don't like is jump scares. Jump scares make me very, very anxious.
Well, it's a combination. It's the lead up because you are totally freaked out. It is scary. It is quiet. You can sense that something is coming.
Oh yeah.
So that's
And that buildup is like, I hate that.
That's like the Slenderman games, or
those things are
or,
terrible.
what's the Dread
Dreadhalls?
Dreadhalls?
No. It's Alone in the Rift is the one you're thinking of. We played horror demos.
I'm sorry.
Even a game like
If you like it, that's fine.
what you call it, Gone Home, which isn't a horror game.
I was totally scared of
You
Gone
could-
Home.
you could be scared by that,
I
'cause the
was
music-
sure that it was
Yeah.
going to turn into a
Right.
scary game,
Right.
and I was like, yeah, I had
Hold
a
on,
hard
wait.
plays
time
on
Gone
your
Home's not scary?
expectations. It's well,
I played like 5 minutes, and
You
I
didn't finish
love
it?
Oh hell no!
Oh,
no,
no,
I
you
expected
have to
Slenderman
finish it.
to
No,
jump
you
out.
absolutely have to. No,
is-
nothing jumps out at you.
No,
oh,
no.
sorry, spoiler.
That's fine.
the idea is
been
that
out
you're
for a
reading
really long
disturbing
time, yeah.
things, and you're experiencing, and your brain fills in,
Mm-hmm.
the imagination fills in.
It's not at all the game you think it is.
Right.
Okay.
So play it. Really, you
I
should
stopped
play
playing
it.
Doom
But that's
3.
the
Doom
perfect
3 was
kind of
too scary
game
for me.
for Oculus, where you can't look away.
Mm-hmm.
You can't hide your eyes, because you can close your eyes, but if you have the audio turned on, and a lot of it is the audio, you need the positional audio.
I'm starting to have like a panic attack just thinking about this game.
So I on Oktobercast last year, I strapped in and played a mind-numbing series of horror games for the Oculus, just small experiences. And at first, I was with you. Like, I don't like jump scares, and I don't like I said, Doom 3 was. I stopped playing Doom 3 because it was too scary.
Yeah.
Some things in Doom 3 they were really smart, and it was relying on a lot of like monster closets and jump scares, but they would kind of play test and see where players would normally look. Like if you walk down this hall and there's a glass to your left, and behind the glass is a cool animation, and like, oh my god, graphics are so amazing, then the monster comes up behind you because they know people are going to turn to the left, and then you see the reflection in the glass.
No.
Well, so
Nope.
So
That's a smart game
But
design.
here's the
No.
thing about jump scares. Ultimately, are kind of cheap, though, right? Because all they have to do is, hey, they know you're going to turn one way or the other. Put the monster on the side. You're not going to give you an audio cue. You'll turn around. The thing that the Oculus guys are realizing by building a bunch of first-party demos is that they're finding there's a whole new language to these kinds, to all games, but specifically to these, because they know where you're looking. Like, they don't just know you're facing in this general direction. They know that the thing you're looking at is in the center of your field of view because of the way the goggles work.
Right.
So once they have that information, they can build much more effective scaring mechanisms than just the traditional old-fashioned jump scare.
I feel like I talked about this with Gary at some point. Like I really feel because I don't think he likes
Probably.
scary stuff either.
No.
And there's like a whole bunch of we noped about. No, who was it? Oh, I can't remember. Someone and I really bonded over like scare. Oh, I think it was Kirk Hamilton.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think
Scary.
we had a shared bond over just being like, nope, not gonna, no.
A friend of mine gave me a copy of Fatal Frame for the Xbox, which is I don't know if you've not played it. It's a game where you are like a Japanese schoolgirl, and you have to walk into a haunted house and save your family or something, and the only thing you have is a camera. So when you look through the viewfinder, you see the ghosts in the otherwise normal rooms. And I played maybe 5 minutes of that. It's like, nope, I'm done with this. I'm going to give it back to you.
It's the Weeping Angels mechanic.
Yeah.
That's
Oh.
the new horror, and that's perfect for
That
Oculus.
it took me a really long time to be
What-
able to watch Blink.
What's the Weeping Angels?
For
that's
Doctor Who.
In but it's in the Dread Halls. The idea that if you look at it's like in Super Mario, the Shy Ghost.
Yeah, shy guy. Yeah, shy
Is it
shy
those-
guys.
You
Shy guys.
No,
Shy-
Shy Guys are the.
No, Shy
It's just
Guys
the
are
ghosts.
just
It's
ghosts.
Boo, is what they're called.
Oh,
Yes.
the boos. Yeah,
It's
so-
like Boo,
so
but
they
instead
move.
of moving slowly, imagine Boo who can teleport behind you and move real quickly.
Yeah. So every time like say like I'm looking at Norm and he's like standing there, and then I turn around
And
and
suddenly,
I go back and
I'm
he's like
in
way
your
closer
face.
to me.
Oh, so that Sphinx
act of
thing
not
in
looking.
Dread Halls.
Yes,
Like there was a specific monster. As long as you were looking at him, he couldn't do anything.
Yes.
But you had to turn around to open the door, and as soon
Right.
as you turn back, he'd be right behind you. Be like, ah!
That is the
Exactly.
perfect Oculus horror
Yes,
experience.
That was really good. Okay, so then speaking of time manipulation, the next demo that they had, I can't remember what this is called. It's the Kickstarter game.
Super Hot.
Super Hot. Thank you. It's called Super Hot because when you fail or when you succeed, the screen pops up with text that says, "You think you're super hot, huh?"
I don't know if that's exactly why it's called Super Hot.
Okay, well, it said that in the game. So either it's referencing the name or the name. Anyway,
Yeah.
so Super Hot is basically it's like a corridor shooter, and it's kind of like a bullet time puzzle game. So you start at the end of a hallway, and you have to run to the other end and shoot some guys. Very standard first-person shooter stuff. But what the trick is, the faster you go, the faster time moves, and the slower you go, the slower time moves. So if you stop, time, it doesn't exactly all the way stop, but it gets real slow. And then when time stopped, you can actually see the bullet paths, and you can. I mean, presumably you can play this with a mouse and keyboard or gamepad, not the Oculus. But if you have the Oculus, you can like move your head to the side and watch the bullet just go by, and then you can go forward a little bit and speed up. And
So you're having a little Matrix moment.
it's kind of it's like 2002 all over again.
Yeah, and it's think of it as Braid, like the puzzle game Braid, but first person. So
That sounds neat.
yeah, it's a really
Yeah.
good concept. It's something that came out of a game jam. They have a Kickstarter. It's been successful, and it's an example of a small development team taking a high concept and adopting that high concept to VR because it's suitable for VR and everyone who doesn't want to dodge bullets.
I liked what I heard about Lucky's Tale.
So yes, that's a third game.
This one was
this was unique among the three games we saw because this is developed specifically for Oculus. There's
Right.
no non-Oculus version.
And it's third person, right?
And it's a third-person game. It's like a Super Mario World. It's like a Super Mario 64, where it's a platformer. You're playing a side-scrolling, third-person behind over the shoulder camera character running, jumping, collecting coins, stomping enemies.
Well, but it's like a 3D one. It's not like a 2D side. It's not New Super Mario Brothers. It's Super Mario World.
And how does that work, being in the third person perspective? For
So,
that kind of thing?
whereas if you play Super Mario Galaxy or you play any 3D platformer, Crash Bandicoot, the camera is fixed behind or programmed. So when you go around a corner, then it'll be a side view. On a corridor, it'll go behind.
Or it's on the second stick sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Instead of it being fixed all the time, you can look around in not just a 2D plane, but in a 3D world. So your head becomes the camera, and you can get up close to the character. You can look around the corner from the character.
So are you moving your head around? to
Around the
look
world.
in a-
So it's like there's a miniature
But I mean, are
set.
you physically
Yes.
moved? Like you have to.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Your
You
head's
don't
not
have
mapped
to.
in the
Yeah.
world.
Okay.
But it's as if you're this god looking at this miniature set, and you're playing a character running around the miniature set. And then you could see in advance what things are coming up and get different perspectives. Now, that gives you depth information where you wouldn't normally get it in a game in a 3D on a 2D screen. So in Mario, if you're throwing a turnip or something, you have the dot, the trajectory, and you'd still have that. But seeing that in 3D, it gives you a much better sense of how far you're throwing, how far you need to charge up, and
Or
that
if you
kind of
need to
stuff.
stomp something that's
man.
away from you, you don't have to like look for the shadow on the ground underneath you to know where you are in the Z-axis. You can just see. It just works.
This, for some reason, this just popped into my head, but I really want to play Black and White too.
Yeah, that's
with Oculus Rift.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
That
and
just,
that's
like-
perfect kind of world where you're looking at small area, and you can like go in, and instead of scrolling a mouse to zoom in, you're just moving your head in. And
I think that moving your head in move is going to be real weird in the real world. Like if I'm sitting at my desk and I'm doing this,
My paw.
eventually I'm just going to smash into my keyboard and mouse.
well, that's the game developers challenge.
Yeah.
so.
And it's not like the camera doesn't automatically move. There's still some camera movement, and it's real gentle swaying, but you have more of the control of your camera.
So then, like I thought that was one of the best things. Like it, kind of all that made me want was Mario games in the Oculus Rift in this kind of camera on the track format.
So what they've done is Oculus is now hiring, and they have hired game developers, artists, programmers, producers. They hired Jason Rubin, who is a co-founder of Naughty Dog.
Wow.
And also this other guy, Jason, I forget his last name, but he built the Steam platform for Valve. So they're building a way to distribute their games. They're building first-party games, maybe not $100 million games, but high-quality experiences that's like the Nintendo model of here's our Mario Kart, here's our proof of concept for the Wiimote or 3DS, but for virtual reality.
I'm really excited for them. Like,
Yeah, I mean they're in a wonderful place. It seems like.
And the great thing is that none of it felt like it was Facebook influenced. It's just that they have the money now, and they can hire faster, and they can build infrastructure to support these
yeah,
platforms.
that's a good point.
We also saw Morpheus, which is Sony's headset. It's basically the same hardware they were showing at GDC. We talked about it at length then, so we won't get into that. But we played a couple of demos that we hadn't seen before. One uses Move controllers. So you put on the glasses, you put on the goggles, and I have to say, I really love the way the Sony goggles work, because you put this band on your head and then you kind of slide the goggles up over your face so you can leave your glasses on. The Oculus glasses just don't work with glasses at all.
No, okay, that's
Because
I mean,
it's a strap. It
it's
works, but it's pressing your glasses against your face because the band is going around the back of your head, plus over the top. It's like wearing ski goggles over
Yeah.
glasses
Gotcha.
still. With Morpheus, it's more wearing a visor, so it's on your forehead, on the back of your head, and then you're flipping down like a mask, a welding mask.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I played a fairly active game where you use the Move controllers and you kind of punched this dummy in front of you, and then they gave you swords. So you swung the swords.
So I haven't tried it. Do you have transparency in the goggles at all? So can you see anything?
No,
So that-
it's
that
just
kind
like the
of stuff's-
Oculus.
This is the thing that's going to start scaring me about the headsets
The
and the
VR.
goggles
Yeah.
and the VR in general, and being very physical, as you just mentioned, in game types like that, because you're going to start punching TVs.
Or
You're gonna start
people.
lamps or
Well,
animals.
just like the Wiimote, you got to wear
Yeah.
the Wii strap. You're gonna see guidelines. You know this
Tape out
At
a
least with that,
circle.
you could see around you. You knew
Yeah.
what kind of space you were in. With this, I'm going to get really into games and I'm going to start breaking shit.
Well,
There's
I mean, but that's it. That's it, right? It's like I was doing these sword swings and
Yeah.
punching and swinging. At one point I had a flail and I was going like this over my head and wailing on this dummy. And had they not been keeping people out of the danger zone,
Yeah.
I could have really punched the hell out of someone without even knowing it.
Right.
and VR will eventually be untethered. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the power will be built in. You're gonna plug a smartphone in or something. It'll be mobile.
This is why we need the giant hamster wheels
Yeah.
that are on a platform, and so you can run in one place and do all your stuff inside the hamster wheel, the hamster ball.
You
It'll be
saw
a
that.
ball.
You saw that at GDC,
I
right?
did.
Did you get in it?
No, I saw it at Expand
Oh, okay.
in New York.
Did you get in it?
I did not get in it. No.
You know, I'll tell you the tricky part of the
I
hamster
want
wheel
that.
is that you can't stop. It's very difficult to stop
Oh,
once
really?
it starts going.
Well,
There's momentum.
Well, we had the one
apparently.
where you're belted in. That's the one that I tried, or the one that I was around.
like the treadmill thing.
Yeah, it's like a 360 treadmill.
Yeah.
And so you've got this barrier around your waist.
The Virtuix Omni.
Yeah. And so, yes.
We've both
the
done
Omni.
that.
And so you didn't like it?
It's not good.
Because the
Looks pretty
floor doesn't
convincing.
actually move like a treadmill. It's
I had a-
capacitive touch based, so it's tracking your slides against their mat with the shoes, and
Their problems
the
could
gait, your gait just wasn't represented properly.
imagine. Did you try it?
No.
Okay, so imagine running in a disc, like you know those snow saucers that you use.
Yes.
Imagine one of those being bolted to the floor and you being held stationary above it, and then trying to run inside that kind of a gentle curve.
So you have to do that like weird.
It was
Okay.
super like, and the other problem I had was that it didn't translate well into actual movement in the game. So like I wasn't getting 1-to-1. Like when I lifted up my right foot, it didn't lift up my right foot in game, and I was walking like that. It just kind of like the faster you went in game. So you ended up eventually just kind of flailing.
Trying to go as
And-
fast as you can.
Yeah, and I mean,
Physical therapy.
Yeah.
their problems could have been software based and all that, but yeah, I
Well,
wasn't
that
super
sounds
impressed.
just kind of a conceptual issue.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have not tried the hamster ball either. Does that feel
Norm did
better?
that a few
No,
years
the
ago.
hamster ball was something that was at GDC a couple years ago. It was literally a giant hamster ball because you think about it, the ball needs to be big for the floor to be flat. Like if it's a small ball, then you're walking at these inclines.
You're doing the same. You get
Yeah,
you
the
have
the same
kind of
problem.
So it was a
situation.
really big ball, but the bigger the ball, the heavier it is. And so the harder it was for you to get started and stop it, and you just ended up running and then falling.
You could do that like do what the hamsters do. They just lay flat and then
Right.
spin around a
Yeah,
few
and just
times.
go through,
Right,
do a few
exactly.
loops.
Right.
Yeah.
And then shoot out the outside.
Yes.
You're right.
Did you hear that really interesting scientific study that they were trying to prove that hamsters actually and mice and a lot of small animals really just enjoy being on the wheels?
Oh, I
Like, will
get
they
that.
do it for fun,
Yeah.
or are they doing it because they're bored out of their mind? And so they essentially left a hamster wheel in the middle of a huge garden
Okay.
and just waited and put a camera on it. And the mice just came out and hung out on the hamster
Like
wheel. even
wild
though they had-
mice?
Wild mice, even
Oh,
though they
that's
had
funny.
no reason to not. I mean, they had no reason to be there. They were just like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, this looks fun. I'll try this.
Wow.
So that,
And so they actually really enjoy it.
I've always wanted to put like one of those hamster habitats with all the tubes just out in the backyard.
That is, so I have always wanted to have, I have this weird like building complex
Yeah.
where, so like when I was a kid, I would make like in science club, we would make these ball bearing tracks, like race tracks, and
Yeah.
just make them all over the room. I've always wanted to make like catwalks, like all over my house, where the cats could just like go from room to room through little cubbies and like show up on the other side, crazy cat lady style. Or I always wanted to have like a super huge hamster habitat that
Yeah.
was just like, am I weird? Is
No,
that-
I think that's I think that's cool. I mean, like I always wanted to have model trains that rolled around
Yes, we
upstairs
talked-
of the
didn't we
roof.
talk
Yeah,
about
we've
that?
talked about model trains
Yeah,
before.
I would like to have a whole room of model trains
Yeah.
and just like
Oh,
build
that-
crazy
yes,
tracks
that would be
everywhere.
cool.
I just have some like I just want to like build out an entire space where I can like it's. I think that's why I like SimCity so much.
Yeah, well, I like the idea of secret passages and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
that hamster, like the hamster habitat kind of like it seems like it would be fun to navigate a hamster maze.
Mm-hmm.
Like to be scaled down or scale up
Like
the maze,
I want to
I
make
guess.
it really fun for them.
Yeah. You
And I
give
wanna
them some
watch them.
variety and see them explore it and see what parts they like and
See if
then
they figure things out.
and change the parts that they don't like and like put something really awesome in some hard to get spot. And, Yeah.
Entertain me.
Toy with their fragile little minds.
But yeah, having a cat and a dog already, I don't think I can convince Ryan to let me have a hamster room.
The hamster situation is. I've been trying to suggest that children need to have.
And they eat them though.
Well, they only eat them if you do things wrong.
I did things wrong.
Yeah, I
when
brought
was a
home I
kid.
brought home the school hamster one time, and she had babies, and then ate them all in the long weekend. It was really
God,
super
a whole
traumatic.
weekend of trauma.
Yeah, Memorial Day will never be the same again. Norm did the other demo with Morpheus, which
Yeah,
kind of
so
highlighted some of the problems with the hardware.
and the demo that we'll talk about was called Castle, which used a Move controller, and this is something that Sony has that Oculus doesn't have, which is motion control in their games. Sony has had a generation and a half now of Move controller support, which is the sticks with the light balls.
Yep.
And so when you adapt that to VR, it makes perfect sense. Just like you would use a Wiimote or Move controller to simulate firing a bow and arrow, you can now do that in VR and see your bow and arrow.
And it actually, like, the thing that having that a 3D representation of hands that are your hands theoretically that you can hold up in front of your face really gives you that sense of presence.
Well,
like
is that the kind of thing that we're thinking about for? So I'm not too familiar with it, but the Control VR stuff.
Yeah,
So the
we'll get
Control
to that,
VR
yes.
Combining, yeah,
Yes.
we'll
Yeah.
get to that.
Absolutely. So the other demo with Morpheus wasn't with the Move controllers, but it did give you a good sense of presence, and it was called Street Luge. And you sat on a beanbag, put on the VR headset, and you're sliding down, basically like snowboarding down the street. You've seen those like longboard videos where they do like the Berkeley Hills and
Yeah.
do the crazy longboards. It was like that, but lying down. And you'd cars, you're supposed to draft behind cars and slide underneath trucks, and you're moving really fast. But your only mode of control is tilting your body left or right.
Did you have a sense? Did it trick you into having a sense of movement?
Yes,
Like your
definitely into a
brain-
sense of speed, and
Okay.
especially when collisions were about to happen. I really wanted to.
You flinched pretty good a few times.
Really wanted to like get out of that car's way, and obviously you go through the car. There's no haptic feedback, but you do feel like you're moving fast.
I was, I had probably my most intense VR experience was at Star Tours at
Really?
Disneyland. Yeah,
In the
I
new
New
had-
Star Tours.
Yeah, the new Star
New Star
Tours.
was fantastic.
It was really incredible. I mean, they
Can they
do
put
have the
goggles on
benefit.
you?
No,
Oh,
but
okay.
they do have the benefit of actual movement in the
Yeah.
in the capsule that you're in. But at the end, I got the one where you crash land on the deck and the other ship comes breaks through the window and comes right at you, and all of us were just like, "Wah!" And like you kind of forget like it was 3D, so you did have the glasses on, but it felt like I was getting kind of motion sick as I do.
Oh, yeah.
in
And
these
it's
things, but
amazing.
because it felt like I was in a spaceship the whole
Yeah.
time.
That sense of presence is, and once you get tastes of that, you just want more.
Yeah.
Like it is super appealing in a way that like the first time I played a first person shooter, I was like, oh, I like this. This is fun. I like to run through mazes. I like to shoot people. I like to, do all the things that made Doom and Quake in those early games super appealing. So the presence thing, like you were laying down for the luge thing. They literally laid you down on a beanbag. With the castle demo, I was standing, and every once in a while you kind of like you get a little weird vertigo because your position in the game and gravity don't necessarily line up. So you kind of have to stagger. And it's interesting because Sony is definitely showing standing demos where Oculus is really pretty insistent that their stuff is all sit down, at least for right now.
Sit down or stool.
Yeah.
If you want to get higher up. and do lean back stuff.
Well, it's still a very big piece of gear to have on your head too.
Well, it's the Morpheus is definitely a little bit larger. I think it's a little more comfortable because they have that kind of like it hooks around the base of your skull and then kind of balances.
Yeah.
The
Interesting.
yeah, the Oculus is still pretty front heavy. Like
that was the issue that I had.
Yeah.
Because I've done it both standing and in seated. Yeah, this all makes me think of you read Ready Player One, right? So that is kind of my ultimate goal of virtual reality.
You just want to move into a trailer in the middle of the country and jack in?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm excited about that kind of stuff. I mean, the combination of all these different technologies kind of converging together into a truly, really immersive experience where you are unable to tell the difference between the virtual and the real is scary, but also, super interesting to me
Soylent
and really exciting.
Or even
Adult
from a
diapers
telepresence
and-
standpoint.
Yeah.
Robotics and motors will get better, and latency will come down, and internet connections
And
will be fast enough.
it's starting to feel like we're creating all of these elements disparately, but they're converging in some ways, like the Morpheus, for example, where
Yeah.
you have the ability to control elements using your hands in the 3D space, and having that one-to-one kind of zero lag time. So did you feel because Move has always been pretty close.
Move was really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Much better in Connect.
I actually talked
Yeah.
to them while Norm was doing the demos, one of the Move people, one of the hardware people, and they were like, look, I said, hey, do you think Move needs to be, is this going to be the final Move that we see, or are you going to keep updating this, and is there going to be a Move 2.0
Well,
that
I'd like to
when
have
this
it just
stuff
on
comes
gloves,
out?
just not have to hold controllers anymore.
I think the gloves are it's interesting you bring up the gloves. I think part of the reason the Move is so good, though, is because they do optical tracking on that big ball.
Well, put the ball in the gloves.
Well, you could put the ball in the gloves.
I don't want to
Or
hold
you can wear the
stuff.
glove and hold the stick.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason why these things can't work together.
I mean, if it's a sword that I'm holding, then great, I can use the Move controller. If it's, if I'm casting magical spells, I
Yes.
want to have my hands free.
Oh, yeah.
Magic Missile.
Yeah.
Magic Missile.
And Magic Missile is what Control VR
Yeah.
is all about. And I think this is probably the
nice
biggest
segue.
surprise
Good segue.
for us at E3. This is a new Kickstarter just launched last week. They had a very small booth on the side of the VR
It's like
pavilion.
a meeting.
And there were long lines to get this demo because it really worked. It looks super janky.
It looks like something people made by hand.
Yeah.
The actual IMUs, the motion trackers, did not. But like the way that they were mounted to you looked like something that people had stitched together by hand, which is to be expected where they're at.
And the way that works is you put on this harness, which has a tracker at the center, kind of like Iron Man's arc reactor.
Yep.
Looks just like that, but that's the orientation point where all the other trackers match. You calibrate. You put on these gloves. They track your upper arm, your wrist, and your fingers. And
And I think the top of your hand as well.
top of your hand and 2 points in your thumbs. And you think, oh, okay, we've seen motion trackers and we've seen things
Power
like,
glove.
yeah,
Well, but
yeah, exactly.
But even like I've used some of the super expensive things that people use for CAD stuff.
Yeah.
Like the things that inspired Minority Report and all, and none of them are very good.
Right, like Leap Motion, I guess, is the closest, because Leap Motion, with the new software update, is supposed to have, and it's all in the processing, it's supposed to have like finger tracking to a point where it can model your skeleton. The software is building a model of your skeleton, and then
Well, Connect is the other
Right,
other
exactly.
example. Yeah.
and this technology combines those things. It can be paired with Leap Motion, and the demo they showed, which they said they developed only over the course of 2 weeks, was really good. And it was multiplayer. It was interactive. So it was paired with like an Oculus Rift DK1, Development Kit 1. And Will and I played. We were on the moon. We were in the new NASA spacesuits, the new ones. They did the
The ones that were
design.
The hard
Designed, yeah.
shell climbed
Yep.
in the back. Yeah.
And we had so it can be paired with other accessories. So we had a Wii joystick, thumbstick in one hand, and we're using that for movement. But our hands were recreated in the game.
You literally could lift up your hand and go like move each finger individually.
Oh, yeah.
Turn it around, move each finger
And
individually.
the response was instantaneous, and you got an incredible sense of presence. Now, they need to do some calibration in terms of how far that virtual hand is away from your eyes, but we were fake high-fiving.
You were able to reach out and touch your other arm.
Yes, that was the
I
cool
want
thing.
this so much. I
Like,
want it now.
You could lift up, because you could lift up your left hand, and there were buttons on your suit, and you could touch the buttons on your arm and activate things.
That was a little loosey goosey. The touching the buttons on your arm. Like I ended up just
Well, give him some time.
I mean,
yeah.
And they definitely had some like early problems, like getting the calibration right was a little bit tricky, and it tended to drift, and after a while my head was aimed this way but my arms were over, but it's the first thing we've used that's anywhere near like that actually worked in any kind of like way that I feel safe saying, yes, this is something that they can take from where it is now to a place that I would want to use it. And I think there's a place to use that outside of even VR applications. So like I could see opening up a piece of like sculpting software, like 123D Sculpt or something like that, and actually using my hands to sculpt instead of using a mouse cursor.
Haptic feedback.
Or using it for medical training or things that you have to like practice in a field. Like for example, in the field rather, like I don't know, disarming a bomb, for example, where you want to be able to see how things work.
And things like that, you can
have fine motor skills.
I think they should practice that on real bombs, I think, actually.
But you can combine that with tools. Like if you're using medical training, you can have a tool in your hand and you're tracked in a virtual space, but you actually feel something.
And there's no reason they couldn't track the tool too, is the point.
Oh yeah. Animation. So if you want to be your own motion capture system and track, and animate a character.
Mocap hands.
Mocap.
Yeah, all this stuff is it's pretty limitless.
But you could be a puppeteer. Puppeteers have a lot of money to spend, guys. It's really neat. The Kickstarter is live now. I think they're selling the dev kit, which, just to be clear, we say this every time and nobody listens to us. This is a dev kit. If you want to experience this, don't buy it. Just go to PAX. I'm sure they'll be there and you'll be able to wait in line and see it. It's going to be the dev kit's $600 on Kickstarter for the Kickstarter. Yeah. I would not be surprised if they're not purchased in very short order. Like it was a really good demo. If their stuff actually, if we weren't seeing smoke and mirrors and what they have is actually repeatable and scalable and works, it is super duper
if it
exciting.
pairs well with Oculus, then Facebook has money to throw at that.
Yeah. Have you played the survival games like the Arma 3 mods,
Daisy and all that stuff?
No.
So a lot of those games, and people love the simulation games, it's basically a virtual world that you're playing in, and so much of it is voice and gesture based, waving at people and not shooting at them necessarily.
But right now, like the controls for those games are like old flight sim controls, right? There's like dozens and dozens of keyboard buttons you have to press.
It's all
like
hotkeys.
Yeah,
right. It's all hotkeys. So you imagine if you're playing some type of virtual game, and maybe you're still playing with a keyboard and mouse, but at some point you lift your hand up and you can wave at someone. Or you can point at things. It doesn't even need to be paired with VR. It just makes that game that much more immersive.
Norm and I tried multiple different types of sign language during our demo, and I was able to get his message pretty clearly.
I bet.
So that's pretty much it. I got to play IDARB finally. Grim Fandango is coming out on PlayStation 4. I never played Grim Fandango, so this is exciting to me.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I mean, I think that Tim said it's coming to more platforms probably in the future.
They were going to talk about more. I think he got some grief.
Yeah.
But it seems like it will be on PC and
super
Xbox and everything.
For everyone. I love their team, and I'm so happy that he gets to see this continue on.
I missed that when it came out because I was playing first-person shooters online and was like, I don't need to adventure games. Those are for kids. And I missed the greatest adventure game ever by all reports. So, yeah.
That's a whole new generation of kids who have no reverence for that.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious to
I
what the response
think
will be.
the art style is definitely going to hold
up.
up.
Yeah. And I mean, I'd love to play those kinds of games on iPad. Like, I loved playing the Telltale games on iPad. I think, it's a good experience, and it's nice that you can take it with you and all that kind of stuff.
I never play games on the iPad.
Really? It's all work, huh?
Yeah, it's all email and bed. That is my iPad experience.
Wow.
I installed Hearthstone, but I haven't played it yet.
Hearthstone's so good.
I love Hearthstone, yeah.
I played IDARB, which is it's just super. It's a couch game. You play with 4 players, and you yell. I think it plays up to 8 players. You yell at each other, and you throw balls into other people's goals. It's like soccer, but with violence. So more violence, I guess.
Yeah. So you guys missed all the big press conferences.
I was welding that day, I think.
Cool.
Yeah. So.
And it's also live streamed.
Yeah. It's all on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Norm, you put Turing test bullshit on this list.
Yeah, last weekend there was a press release from the University of Reading.
Yeah,
University
a lot
of Reading
hubbub
about a machine finally passing the famed Turing test.
So wait, does that mean the singularity has begun? We're all doomed. The robots are
No,
going to take
we're
over and
okay.
kill us
Well, I
all.
think we're okay.
Unless we think.
How do I know that one of you is not a robot?
Yeah, I think that what it means is that customer support chatbots might get a little better. If you want customer support from a 13-year-old Ukrainian child.
Yeah, that's
that's
what
what
it
I
was.
get
It was
now,
pretending-
right?
It was
Right?
pretending to be a 13-year-old Ukrainian boy.
Was
And
it
so
speaking
supposed
English?
Yes, which was part of the thing that it was trying to do was say, oh, well, this kid, he's a kid, first of all, and he doesn't have a great mastery of the English language. So any mistakes that the computer was making, you were supposed to attribute to
Now,
those
I have
idiots.
I have
Supposed
also a machine that simulates a 2-year-old. Also, no master of English, but I bet could convince you was a 2-year-old mashing on a keyboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was total bullcrock.
Good headline, though. Good headline.
Yeah. The idea with the Turing test is also just suspect. I know it's something that people still have fun with, but these are not supercomputers. These are chat scripts.
Yeah.
There's some good coding, database retrieval involved.
It's not like Watson parsing an Alex Trebek style Jeopardy question and coming up with an answer by searching for Wikipedia.
No, not like that at all. There's some databasing and information storage, but
The issue is learning, right?
Yeah.
It's really like it has to learn.
right, and the parameters of the test as they performed it was that it would just need to convince at least 30% of the 300 judges, of which some were just like celebrities, like low-grade British celebrities, that it was a human, and it convinced like 33%. So the Turing test has always been a measure of our own ability to want to believe the person's on the other side is connect with other people, and just how gullible we are.
Right. Yeah. I would have loved to have been a judge on that, just because not that I necessarily think I would have done better, but I'm just curious to see, like, how many different computers were competing, because I feel like you'd probably get a little bit of brain fatigue, like after a time trying to
And
figure out what was real and what was not.
And 30% is just
Pretty low.
yeah. I mean, okay. So I think we should move on. I feel like we have given this enough time.
Fair enough.
Intel justice moves so slow. Intel lost its appeal and has to pay a $1.4 billion fine in the EU
Womp.
because of anti-competitive practices against AMD. Now, if I recall, this is like 5 years in the making now at this
Yeah.
point. So, props to the EU for actually levying fines that are substantial enough that the companies will notice, and not any of our like FCC's super toothy $200 million fines that are like 4 minutes of revenue for Verizon. But yeah, so that's happening. There was a big TweetDeck exploit this week.
Yeah. So basically, just log out of your TweetDeck and log back in. It should be fine.
Is that when I was reading this, all happened while we were at E3 yesterday, so
Yeah.
we missed I got the beginning and the end.
A teenager claims he accidentally found an exploit by he just typed stuff into the Twitter box. I can't remember exactly what he typed.
It was like a cross-site scripting thing, right?
Yeah, and apparently that enabled people to gain access to accounts and retweet things and do stuff
And
like that.
like there were people who were tweeting things and so then immediately following with, "I didn't tweet that.
Yeah.
That wasn't me."
So he said he accidentally figured that out. He wasn't intending to break through the security of TweetDeck, and he was just trying some things that apparently had been out for a little while too, like other people had known about. And so now it's apparently fixed.
So I had forgotten, because TweetDeck has before Twitter bought TweetDeck, they had their own accounts where you could like aggregate multiple Twitter accounts settings across one
Right.
UI and build columns and save all sorts of your favorites, so that you just logged into that TweetDeck account. And I updated my Twitter password with the super secure one years ago, and then I completely forgotten that I used to use TweetDeck and had to go in and revoke access to TweetDeck on Twitter, which was the initial way they said, "Hey, make sure you do this."
You should just do that regularly anyway. I mean, you should always log into accounts that make access of like API stuff to revoke access to things you don't use anymore.
Yeah, it's a general good policy, both on Facebook and Twitter. Google has that as well now. I'm trying to think what other places you do that kind of OAuth level authentication. But yeah, so I revoked access and then re-added it when I got home. I still use TweetDeck on Windows because it's the browser, it's the Twitter client that is on Windows. Norm's buying something right
I'm
now.
buying something. I'll talk about it in a second.
Okay.
What's everybody's Twitter called? Does anybody use Twitter on Windows here, sitting at the table? Okay, never mind.
I
then.
use the Twitter website.
Norm is a Twitter website person. He refuses.
I use Tweetbot.
Tweetbot's really good.
Yeah.
I wish I had Tweetbot for Windows, but I know that's never going to happen.
No.
There's a couple small things that have come out of the iOS 8 beta. They added camera stuff like time lapse, the ability to do like a 10-second delay, so you can press the button, run around, get back in your picture, and then make a pose.
About time.
And this one's big. Somebody figured out how to show the iOS multitasking on iPads.
Oh, cool.
So it's obviously not finished. There's no like fancy transitions or anything like that, but you can do multiple aspect ratios.
Is this the leaked video?
This is the leaked video.
How official do you think it is?
I think it's in the OS, but I don't think that it's something we're going to see in iOS 8.
So, wow. That's code. That's really early code. Then.
Yeah, somebody left something in that they probably shouldn't have, or maybe
Uh-oh.
who knows? Maybe Apple meant for this to happen. But if you want to see how it works, you should watch the video. It's interesting only in that I think it paves the way for multiple aspect ratios and resolutions for iOS devices.
So how did stuff look in different aspect ratios?
It depends on what you were looking at. Like some of it shrunk down to a column. Like, you think about how your default mail client in iOS would imagine if it shrank from an iPad kind of two-pane, list of messages / message landscape view. If you shrunk it over, it would first go to just the message and then go to the list of messages, and then look almost like it does on the iPhone. It's
I just got sucked into revoking access to everything.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah. Sorry if.
No, never.
I revoke that every once in a while just to let it know that I'm still in charge.
Wow.
Honeywell rolled out a Nest competitor this week.
Yes.
So Honeywell has a bunch of patents about thermostats, and when Nest launched their first product, or shortly after, I think they sued because they have a broad application patent for something that's really vague, like
Nest is like,
changing the
no.
thermostat over time.
Right.
Is it kind of like a patent for taking photos in front of a white background?
Yeah, kind of.
I like
Yeah.
that. I like that.
Yeah, so now they're kind of stepping it up and working with Apple for the new HomeKit stuff. And so there's this new thermostat or system of thermostats in the future. Lyric is the name of the product, and it's surprisingly it's actually more expensive than Nest.
Great.
Which is, I found that to be a really weird thing because it's only like $30 more. I'm like, to me, I would have positioned Nest as being like the expensive thing you don't need that's maybe a little too fancy, and Honeywell already having this really strong existing user base because they've just been around for so long and have been associated with thermostats for so many years, to be like, okay, we're the everyman version of this thermostat. It's a little bit cheaper, it's just as good, and we're going to work with all your iOS stuff.
But they're the market leader. They don't want to be the value play. They want to be they're the premium brand.
And Nest isn't the value play either.
No, Nest is crazy. I didn't realize how, like, when Nest came out, I was like, dude, that seems like a reasonable price for a thermostat.
Expensive.
But then I went and actually looked at what thermostats cost, and it turns out the one with just the knob on it that isn't smart is $32 or something.
Right.
So
Yeah, I think when people are building houses and stuff, they want to lower that cost. And I think that in terms of that market, it's either cheapest that works, or you're paying for the premium.
Or you think of it as an investment, because at the same time, things like Nest have the ability to save you money for, not heating your home when you're not there, and for, really managing some of that stuff in a way that most people don't think to do when they're just, have a typical thermostat.
I think when early adopters pay premiums for cutting edge products, there's a psychological resistance to old existing companies and the belief that they can innovate. And people are more likely to buy into new brands because they think it's smart thinking.
Okay. I see all sides.
yeah, I question, like, what Nest did is one of those things that's seemingly like I've had a Nest in my house for the last 6 months or so.
Same.
And like when I before I started using it, I was like, this is a relatively simple thing that these guys just did well, and that's neat, great, good on them. And
Good
then
design, works well.
Yeah.
Whole deal.
But as I've used it and I've watched how it actually builds that schedule based on, my family has a very complex schedule. My wife is at home several days a week, goes out several days a week. And, we get up at weird times all the time because I don't come to work at a specific time. I mean, I come to work in a window, not at 8 o'clock. And it's built a really accurate schedule so that it always turns on and makes the house warm 10 minutes before I get out of bed, which is that's magic. It's amazing. When I get out of bed anytime between 6:30 and say 8:15, depending on what day of the week it is.
Yeah, but I think they're going to do well especially with the HomeKit stuff, because I think the companies that are partnering with Apple and using the HomeKit connectivity stuff is people are going to buy into those because they work with their iOS stuff. I think that's kind of a leading factor too.
Well, and now that Nest is part of Google, and the war between Google and Apple continues unabated, who knows if Nest is going to get
heating up?
Do you think these companies do a good job or need to do a better job of education?
That was
educating homeowners about the other
noise.
parts of that ecosystem that could be improved. Like if you're buying Nest and the point is to be more heat efficient or to, to save money, you can do a lot of that by being smart about your insulation and being smart about the actual infrastructure of your house.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you, when I put more insulation in my roof, I don't look at that every day. I walk by that Nest every time and I'm like,
yeah,
I'm
thing's
doing something good.
That's
pretty
shiny,
cool.
Shiny screen.
It lights up.
Oh my God,
and
it's pulsing.
It lights up as you walk by and it's like, oh, hi. Would you like me to adjust the climate in your home? I can do that. No, that's cool. I'll turn off.
It's shiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a very pretty device.
It is. I wish it was a little more flush.
And we're in the Bay Area where no one has AC, so we're only using half of its potential.
That's true.
It's all heat.
Yeah.
That fan. We have one room in the house that just gets no ventilation at all because there's no windows. Fan's pretty nice.
Fans are great.
Fan's pretty good.
Yep.
Netflix and Verizon have been squabbling. They had a problem coming to a peering agreement again. I guess Comcast had the peering agreement problem last. What that means is that at the upstream level of the internet, they didn't want to connect over the fast pipes. They wanted to connect over however they could get here. And it ended up meaning, the upshot is, if you were a Verizon customer for DSL or for your super fast Fios connection, your Netflix streams sucked.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
And they were telling us that.
Yeah, the thing that changed
Yeah.
is that instead of just having a shitty experience for the users, they said, hey, your shitty experience is because your ISP isn't connecting to us.
It's not us. It's them.
Yeah.
We're not paying.
So they
Talk to
narked, basically. They little tattletales. Verizon said, hey, legally speaking, hey, stop doing this. You can't prove that it's us. It could be you. Maybe you're delivering traffic poorly.
We can prove it.
Yeah. And then they said, but you know what? We're going to stop doing this on the 16th of June anyway. And that's kind of where it's at right now.
Yeah.
It's just fun to watch for Netflix, because Verizon has this massive, huge business, and Netflix gets $8 a month from everybody. And the telecoms don't understand that no matter how in the wrong Netflix is on this, the company that pays $100, if it seems to the customer like the company that they're paying $100 or $150 a month for services to is screwing over the company that they're paying $8 a month to, they're probably going to side with Mr. $8.
And also, they're getting a tangible effect from that being screwed over.
Yeah.
They're like, this is the thing I want is to watch Arrested Development right now. And the thing that is happening is that I am not able to do that.
Right.
And it's your fucking fault.
Right. Die.
And yeah, I'm pissed now.
Yeah.
So it's like an extra. I tweeted yesterday. No, I posted on Facebook. I was in a coffee shop, and I was just sitting there doing some work, and there was an older couple next to me, and they'd been chatting back and forth about doing touristy stuff or something. I forget what they were talking about. And all of a sudden they get up to leave, and the woman goes, "Okay, time to go do battle with Comcast."
Wow.
And I was like, that sounds awesome. You need a sword when you say that. That's rad.
Charge out of here and beat some executives
But
up.
the fact that, we have this very aggressive mindset towards our ISPs and our cable providers now because we're, all we get is grief. Even though sometimes, most of the time, most of our stuff is working fine, when it doesn't work so catastrophically and in ways that make us so angry because it's, we're not getting our internet, we're not receiving our email, we can't do our work, or we can't watch the stuff we want to watch. It's like this immediate effect of just insta-rage, and then they don't do much to make that, to alleviate that very quickly.
So the thing that's changed is that say 10 years ago when you called with an internet problem, then they'd be like, well, okay, great, we'll send somebody out. It'll be 2 weeks. That has changed, thankfully. So now, at least typically,
We're much more impatient.
somebody comes the next day.
And they'll tomorrow between 10 a.m. and 4.
But that is an unfortunate window. That 10 a.m. to 4 window is we like your business, but we don't really like it that much. And also, we know you don't have any alternatives.
No, there's also other reasons for that. I mean,
I don't care. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and tell you.
I think it's psychological warfare.
Yeah, I don't care
I
what
don't
their
think it's
reasons
arbitrary. You think it's hire more workers, hire more people?
I think either figure out a way to fix it remotely with people in call centers, or hire more people on the ground.
Oh,
Or-
and then call centers. That's a barrel
I don't
of
think call
laughs.
center is the solution.
I spent some. Well, I'm not going to talk about that.
We
on
don't
the
even
podcast.
deal
It's-
like when the first level of call center. I'm just like we're at this point. We're like, put me on the phone with your manager.
0, 0, 0,
I have
0,
tried
0.
all the things you will tell me to try.
Right. I've
Like,
rebooted the router.
Let's not waste everyone's time.
Rebooted the
Kick it up a notch.
The secret on that, if you don't like call centers, is to pay the extra $20 a month or whatever it is for business level service, and then you go directly to a local person who can usually
We
they'll
have Comcast business.
yeah, it's a huge improvement in the quality of service, and it was worth the extra money. Also, they don't cap your usage,
yeah.
so that was also pretty nice.
Expensive, though.
It is expensive. Speaking of ISPs and no competition in local areas and all that jazz, the FCC is looking at limiting legislation by local and state governments that prevents broadband competition. So right now in many places, I think Philadelphia was the first place I remember seeing this, the city wanted to put in municipal broadband.
Oh, are we talking about the fiber stuff?
We're talking
too?
about and the unused fiber that,
Right.
that is, like every day if in your neighborhood there is a box that has AT&T or Verizon or whoever your local ISP, your DSL ISP typically is, there's a box, it has a power meter on it. It usually has an address because they have to have an address to get a power meter. That box has fiber coming to it. The one in my neighborhood is 125 feet from my house.
No.
So I'm looking at that and thinking, that is infinite internet. I will
so
happily pay
Infuriating.
to bring a piece of fiber 125 feet from that box to my house. Like, it doesn't matter. If it's a one-time cost, I will pay for it. And then I want fiber. I just want faster internet.
And so, but it's set up usually for government use, right? And they don't let people out to use it.
So they let the local governments use it, but because there's virtually no competition. So what AT&T does is they do UVerse, which, as I understand it, is fiber to the local node, and then you have what is essentially a pretty fast DSL connection because DSL speeds degrade the further you are from the endpoint. So by moving that endpoint into the local box in your neighborhood, you get a much better throughput. It's bad. Like that whole you end up paying a lot of money for like a 24 megabit connection, which Comcast can give you, admittedly shared with all your neighbors for that's their base level thing for the most part. This competition stuff is basically the federal government saying, look, local governments aren't allowed to determine that these businesses are allowed to have monopolies on existing infrastructure that, for the most part, the cable lines come in on poles that the state manages or state utilities manage. So why are the taxpayers paying the cost for this and then not able to get last mile choice? So we may be moving toward a world where there is last mile choice in the same way that we get last mile choice on power, where we can buy power, at least in California, from other utilities other than PG&E that have wind, hydro, solar, whatever other mix of power. If we don't want to pay, we pay more to get better service or service that differs in some important way.
Yeah.
So
Infinite internet is coming.
I want infinite internet. I want all of it.
Eventually.
I'm going to be 50 by the time it happens.
Maybe not.
It's not that far away.
You are pretty old.
I am pretty old. Amazon Prime music streaming launched, I think today, maybe last night.
Today, yeah.
Super late last night.
Whatever.
Well,
Super
early
late
this
last
morning.
night is
Super
today.
early this
Super
morning.
early this
Yeah,
morning.
super early this morning.
Yeah.
I think it wasn't on purpose.
Hey guys, it's included with Prime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You already have it. You're already subscribing.
But apparently it's not very good.
There's
It's
not that
not.
much music.
There's no Universal Music Group,
Yeah.
so they didn't make
No
deals
UMG.
with all the labels, and even with the labels they did, they don't have some of the latest hits.
Can I get Lordy?
You can probably download it, but you can't stream it. I think that's kind of what the situation is.
Well, it's a streaming service with no ads, but I think you can. I think isn't it the opposite?
No, I think it's you are allowed to buy the tracks like through regular Amazon.
Oh,
Prime
right.
Music
Oh yeah,
stuff.
you can always buy.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
but
right,
you can't.
right.
You won't be able to stream them.
Yes.
unless
You don't
they
stream
cut
them for
fees.
free.
Yes.
Correct.
So I think the store that they've had for buying music, like iTunes competitor-wise,
Yeah.
has always been around. And this is a good
Ow.
iTunes downloads play. I mean, iTunes downloads have gone down, at least this past year, gone down very slightly. That's why Apple's moving into Beats Music and streaming. And Amazon wants to get in on that. They have over 20 million Prime subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the vast majority of who subscribe for free 2-day shipping.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's the Trojan horse to get you to pay what was previously $80 a month, now $100 a month for Prime Movies and now Prime Music.
I need to use more of the media stuff because
Yeah, and
I pay the money. I love
exactly,
Prime.
and that's their trick. Prime Movies was a joke when it first launched, and just like Prime Music is a joke now, but Prime Movies they've made good deals. They've got some exclusives, and they want it over time. People evaluate, hey, I'm paying $100 a month. If they raise the price of Prime to $120 a month, oh, you know what? Now I'm getting a good movie service. I'll pay that too.
And the movie service is actually quite good now. Like the when paired with Netflix at $8 a month or $9 a month or whatever it is they charge now, like you get a massive selection of stuff to watch. And it's on, like, they have players for all the devices that I'm using, so it's on a ton of different devices. You can always stream from your tablet or phone or whatever.
I think there's potentially some anti-competitive practices going on eventually because they need to better advertise Prime or maybe split it up, because what you're paying for, what people think they're paying for, is the free 2-day shipping. But what they're paying for, and they're paying increasingly over time, at least if the trend happens, more money for, is something that they might not have originally wanted.
Oh, how many of the streaming services do you guys subscribe to?
I do Rdio.
Okay.
I pay money for Rdio. I do not use Spotify.
Okay.
Do you pay for the RDO offline?
Yes.
Okay.
So you pay the $10
We
a
have the
month or
family.
whatever
We
it
have the
is.
family
Okay.
plan for like 15.
Yeah, and it's like I've done the same thing for ages. It's really nice. We can play music,
Yeah,
and
I
it
love
works on my
RDO.
Sonos stuff, whatever. It's all
Totally.
good.
And so this is their way to get to that, because they
Yeah.
will have an app that you can play offline.
And if I'm already getting it, if I'm already
Why
paying
pay
for
15?
it.
Why pay somebody else?
Yes.
So, having the friends lists and the playlists, I mean, if they can improve upon that in some way, that would be something I considered. I really liked Beats, the Beats streaming service,
Yeah.
when I tested it out. And I didn't end up paying for it because I am paying for RDO already. But I thought some of the stuff that they were doing with playlist building and curation and stuff was really neat.
And the fact that you can get Rolling Stone or Pitchfork or whoever you want to make playlists
Yeah.
for you is kind of cool. If they had a family plan, we would have probably switched
To Beats?
to Beats, yeah, but no family plan. What about videos? So everybody has Amazon, everybody has Netflix.
Yep.
What about like Hulu Plus and?
I pay for Hulu Plus.
Okay.
I do. For
So I mean,
very
we have
weird
Hulu
reasons.
Plus too
I'm
because they have
very
kid
angry.
stuff.
I'm super angry that they still make me watch ads. Like, that is still something that to
But
this day,
it's like $6 a month or something, right?
it's like $5.
Yeah.
Yeah, or something.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm paying for it. I shouldn't have to watch ads.
You're paying for the ability to watch it anywhere
I
you
don't
want.
care.
I know. That's why I don't pay
Makes
for
me
Hulu
mad
either.
every time. And people have given me really thought out, reasoned arguments why the ads are there. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I don't want to watch them.
Here's the thing.
Sometimes I just wish the ads were better.
Yeah.
Well, are they not all the same? I would pay more to not watch ads. Like
Yes.
$5 a month is, I think, a fair price for what you get. I would be happy to pay $10 if I use that a lot to never see an ad.
Ugh.
But I'm a
so mad.
desirable ad customer. I'm a 18 to 39-year-old male. I guess they can't quit me.
Yeah. So we do the Netflix. We do all those.
Yeah.
I probably watch the most on HBO Go, even though I'm not really paying an extra for that
Right.
because I just have HBO.
HBO Go's great.
That's
Like,
the reason I haven't really cut the cord yet. That and baseball.
I really wish that there was a TV, some device, whether it's Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, Fire TV, Xbox, PS4, whatever, that knew what I was subscribed to, knew that I have HBO Go, knew that I have Amazon, knew that I have Netflix, knew that I have Hulu, and unified those lists. So instead of playing Menu Hero in 4 different apps, I could play Menu Hero in one app.
That's what Roku wants to do.
They're not
They
doing it
just
very
can't
well.
Tap into all the
Well, they do it
content
with
databases.
search,
That's what they do in search.
but they don't do it with browse. Like sometimes you just want to kind of flip channels and see what's on.
well, the whole idea of a channel system and it is based on the old model of Spectrum, was channel 2, 3, 4, whatever. And that model, just the list does not work anymore. But people still like the list. They like
People like to troll.
hitting guide and seeing here's Fox, NBC.
Oh man, Judge
ABC.
Judy's on.
Oh wait, I can watch a 48-hour marathon of Law and Order SVU.
A lot of that's because we want that shared experience. We want to know that our channel 2 is the same channel 2 as across town and maybe across the country.
Yeah.
Our ESPNs are the same, and also because the way we think, the way our brains work, is spatially based.
I really want Xbox to get on all this stuff. I'd be happy if Xbox was my one-stop media shop.
Yeah, the new
for
machine's
everything.
quiet enough that I would leave it. I'm happy to. It's a little power hungry, but I'm happy to leave it running. Apple has a huge opportunity. They've whiffed over and over again. We have a couple more small things we're going to blast through really fast. Starbucks is installing power mat chargers nationwide. Nothing uses power mat.
No.
Like that is a win for that salesperson on
This
Power
is like
Mat.
win
How
from
did
like
they-
Power Mat from like 3 years
How
ago.
did they do
Like,
it?
How did they? I feel like that deal has been happening since then, and they just finally got around to doing
my
it.
Hey,
God.
hey,
People are like,
Norm.
oh yeah, Power Mat.
Norm, I'm going to be the Starbucks. I'm going to be the power mat guy, and you be the Starbucks guy.
Okay.
Ring, ring.
Starbucks and La Boulange.
Nice. We have a whole lot of money and would like you to put our dumb hardware in all of your stores. How much would it take?
$1 billion.
Done.
Wow.
Yeah, that's exactly how that
Do you
went
think
down.
they're paying? Do you think Power Mat is paying
Absolutely.
Starbucks?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's not like
Yeah.
outlets.
Because there's cost. Somebody has to go to those stores,
and
cut the
install
hole in the
them.
table, put the thing in.
Unless the person was really good at selling Starbucks an idea that it was a value at. There's value.
I've read,
Starbucks is smart.
Yeah.
As a
you know what they
Retail,
should spend that money. You know what they should spend that money on? Updating their stupid stores because they look like they're from the 90s.
no, the stores have been updated.
Really?
In
Yeah.
San Francisco, they're getting
Where?
everyone is different. Like the West
Really?
Portal one looks super new. Everyone, I've been to Starbucks here, close to our office.
I guess I just don't go
It's-
to enough Starbucks. Starbuy?
I think
Starbucks
whoever they
is-
hired retail
Starbucksons?
is really taking this model of like designing the store for that location. It's all like the rustic wood, driftwood aesthetic.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I read a funny article where they were discussing the etiquette of who gets to use the Power Mats now.
I don't care. I'm just saying.
Good answer.
Like,
But
who's-
if you're there and you both have a Power Mat and like someone wants to put their phone to charge, can you be like, oh hey, it's like electric car
double
etiquette.
stack, right? Can't you double stack? Oh, is there
Can
etiquette for
you?
electric cars?
Yeah.
But you're not
Oh, you
supposed
didn't
to
know
leave
about this?
you're not supposed to use the electric car space if you're not plugged in?
Oh well, that no.
Yeah, why-
definitely
that-
not. That is not even a question.
I mean, I use
what
those
kind
all the
of animal
time.
are you?
Well, I don't have a plug on my car, but it's
No,
a good
it's like if
space.
you okay, so this
They're
is
right
all
by the
I've learned.
door.
There's all sorts of priority levels. So if you're a hybrid, for example,
Yeah.
you shouldn't leave your car charging overnight because you have gas. But if you're an all-electric car, like if you're a Leaf, you need that time to top off.
This sounds
because you
like
don't have a
electric-
gas backup.
Never knew about this.
And if your car has been plugged in for a certain amount of time, so say my two electric cars are next to each other, if you have been taking the plug that's available for those two spaces, if people will unplug you and plug into their own car because they figured you've had enough time to charge, and it's this whole back and forth.
Is this in
This
like is this like in apartment lots or something?
in like lots, in public lots, in garages,
Expect
things
this
like
to be a
that.
subplot in Silicon Valley #2.
no,
Totally.
dude. This is a Larry David issue. This is a Curb
Yeah,
story.
totally.
The guy keeps unplugging my car, so I caught his on fire or something.
Yeah. So
Um,
so like in the electric car world, like hybrids are kind of like, all right, well you don't need to charge that long
What
because
about
you
the
have
Chevy Volt?
gas.
That's a hybrid.
Yeah. But like if you're a Leaf owner or a Tesla owner, for example, you're like, I need to charge because I don't have a backup, and you're taking up the parking spot and also the plug, and you don't need it because you're a hybrid.
I only paid for the smallest battery on the Tesla.
You're in a family that owns a
No.
Tesla, right?
Yes.
Yes.
That does
Bias.
not nullify.
You are biased.
I'm saying I'm laughing at this whole issue because
Oh.
I think it's hilarious that there's like this whole like etiquette thing growing up around this new technology that
We
we
just
didn't
need
have to
more
think
plugs.
about before. Yeah, there needs to be more
I-
plugs.
my
How does
girl-
it feel to know that when you're touching that touchscreen, it's the same touchscreen that astronauts will also be using
Like
on the
fucking
Dragon
badass.
2? Yeah.
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 I got a little gift bag from SpaceX the other day.
Oh.
Got a little model plane.
Model
Got
dragon?
a little model dragon. Got a
Wow.
little T-shirt. Got a little terraforming Mars mug
is the
that
best
changes
club
colors
ever.
when you pour coffee into it.
Jeez, I need to get in this.
That had nothing to do with the Tesla.
Oh.
Yeah, we need to
Nothing
get on
do.
that
was
list.
totally different. Yeah.
We just get stuff from the NSA occasionally. I don't know why.
Weird.
There's a smart cup.
Smart cup.
It's all caps.
Things I just bought
Oh, did you buy the smart cup?
as of 15 minutes ago.
Does it tell you if somebody's
Oh,
put
that's what
poison
you
in
were
your
buying.
drink?
Yes.
How
You
much
can-
was it?
It's a company. Mark One is the name of the company. I think they are based in San Francisco. It's $100
Wow.
for the pre-order. They want to sell 5,000 of these things to make sure it happens. So they're basically running their own Kickstarter.
But what does it do?
It's called Vessel, which spelled cleverly,
Oh,
of
Okay.
course. 'cause
Not
it's
not
a fancy product.
Not cleverly.
Designed by Yves Behar.
Oh,
So it's like much like the Jam Box.
I have the Soda Stream that he designed.
Oh, I have one of those too. Do you
Do
use
you?
yours?
Yeah, all the time, every day.
Really? For club soda?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's what I
it's-
use it
just
for.
just for sparkling
It's like
water.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Club soda, it's the same
No,
thing.
it's not the same thing.
Bubbles.
It's
not the same.
Are you taking fancy water and then carbonating, or are you taking it from the tap and
Tap.
carbonating it? Yeah, that's club soda.
Really?
Yeah.
I might be thinking of tonic water that has like quinine in it.
Tonic water is different.
Well,
Tonic
so
water
what's-
has
but club
calories.
soda has a
Club
taste
soda
to it.
doesn't. No. Well, it's bitter
Well,
because
this
of the
is
carbon
like,
dioxide.
This is sparkling water. This
That's
is not
sparkling
club
water.
soda.
That's not club soda.
What's the difference?
That's mineral water. It came from a place that has
You know too
mineral-rich
much about
water.
this. Okay.
I talked
Fancy
to Adam
water.
Rogers about cocktails and stuff a
All
lot
right,
this
cool.
week.
Okay, gotcha. I like him. He's smart.
He's good. Yeah.
Smart
Do you ever
cup.
make fancy? Do you ever make custom?
I used,
Sodas?
well, they gave me that sample pack.
Nope. Make your own syrup. You can take like strawberries, boil them in sugar
But
water.
you can't put it in the container first. You have to add it after. Is that wrong? Like, what's going to happen? Is it
That's
going to
right.
explode?
You know what's going to happen? You're not going to buy their bullshit stuff with their deadly chemicals. You're going to make your own hippie stuff.
Okay.
I talked to people in Portland about it. They are like, there's a whole
Is it
scene.
going to gunk up the valve
Nope.
now?
I've been doing it for 2 years, year and a
Okay.
half.
All right.
Yeah, and
You're gonna have to send me some
nor is
recipes.
Scarlett Johansson going to come over to your house and beat you up.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because I am frightened of
She's
her.
scary.
She's a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry, Norm.
That's all right.
so you bought a
Vessel.
fancy cup.
Yeah, it's a fancy cup.
A
What does
vessel.
it do?
It can identify the type of beverage you have in it. And
How does it do that?
with sensors. It can tell the sugar content, estimate the caloric
How do you
content.
spell this?
VESSYL.
Yes,
Okay.
It's a
and,
really dumb name.
and also caffeine levels, and then of course it'll tie to an app.
So this is, you can add this to your like fitness trackers and food trackers.
Yes,
and
your
whatnot.
lifestyle track. I'm sure it
Yes.
will be health kit.
Does it-
tie-in.
Oh, totally health kit.
Does it do this by like comparing what it can detect about the drink against some database, or do you have to
I
in
think
the
it's
app say,
database.
"Hey, I'm drinking a Coke"?
No,
So
you
it
don't.
says it on the side. That's cute. So if you peed in the cup, it would say pee.
Oh, really?
Would it
It
know
says
that?
coffee. I don't know if
I know what we're doing as soon
I
as
don't,
Norm
that
gets his cup.
database. I mean, that's why I bought it, so we could test it with
Oh, that's exciting.
Soylent. And
I want to help with that.
all
Pee.
sorts of stuff.
Can I help with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not going to pee in the cup.
No,
That's
no,
not what I'm
that's fine.
saying.
All right. You bring a variety of beverages,
It's
and we'll
Norm's
guess
cup.
the beverage.
You can
Right,
make some
we have this-
cocktails.
Test the smart cup.
We have the juicer. We can
I
juice
just hired
anything.
myself.
Yeah, bring it over. Come on, bring it on.
I have a juicer too. Yeah.
Which is- you get the
Omega.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wire
Blam.
cutter.
Yeah.
That's
Wire cutter's
good.
great.
I know. I buy all the things from wire cutter.
Yeah, it's expensive. HP is building a brand new architecture for servers. Now, if you've been listening to podcasts with Norm and me for a long time, we talked about memristors way back in like 2007 or 2008, which is the memristor is another fundamental form of circuit for computing, in the same way that the transistor is a fundamental form of circuit for computing. As I recall, memristors are like memory cells that store status even when there's not power involved. They're very, very fast compared to, say, the type of memory that's in RAM. As a result, HP has said, hey, you know, we're a big company. We have the ability to build new architectures, even though we stopped doing that 20 years ago. And there's this new thing called the memristor that we finally figured out how to actually make in quantity. And a process size that is feasible for computers. And also there's this other stuff called silicon photonics, which is basically like fiber optics, but instead printed on the circuit level. So instead of like using a jack that you plug into the back of your computer into a network card, they can actually put silicon on a board and maybe even inside chips. I didn't get that far into the article because we ran out of time. But they're building a new kind of server, and the thing that they're promising is that basically they'll be able to put storage and speed, because this memristor memory-based technology gives you very, very, very fast, low latency access to a massive amount of storage. They can build processors that kind of work without the typical RAM hierarchy or storage hierarchy that starts with like L1 cache that's basically tiny amount of memory jammed into the CPU. L2 cache, which is a little bit more memory that's outside the CPU, but it's also a lot slower. RAM, which is even slower than that, but much, much bigger, all the way down to like physical spinning hard disks. Instead, you'll be able to put a massive amount of storage that the CPU has immediate access to, and thus move the bottleneck completely away from memory bandwidth, which is where one of our big bottlenecks has been for 50 years, into all new bottleneck territories. So they call it the machine, and they think it might be out next year for servers.
Sounds pretty badass.
It has all new OSs. They're doing like Linux stuff and
Kind of like Scarlett Johansson.
Pretty much, yeah.
Kick your ass.
It's the Black Widow of servers.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, they can take that. Lytro opened its file format. They're partnering with 500 pixels PX. 500. What is it?
I think
Is it
500
PX?
pixels.
Okay.
Yeah. I say 500 pixels. But
Okay. I've never said it out loud before. I
Me
realized.
neither.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Norm, is this a big deal?
I have not used a new Lytro camera. Have you used a new Lytro camera?
I haven't either, but I think it's a big deal because you'll be able to
See
have
the
actually
photos.
see
Yeah.
the way they're
Oh,
intended
right.
to be seen.
Okay.
Yeah, instead of just having a flat image,
And-
you'll be able to see the focus changes.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And theoretically, if the file format's open, then other companies ranging from like somebody huge like Adobe all the way down to people who make apps and stuff can then
Well, you'd be able to manipulate it, yeah,
the pictures and build
definitely.
tools to use them and
So
stuff.
like Instagram could install, use their
Oh, that'd be
API
cool.
for the image format, and then you could do cool stuff with it. Yeah,
Yeah.
who knows?
And there's a new Form 1 printer. Form 1 are the silicon
SLA.
SLI.
A.
What is it? Something lithography A. I can't remember.
I'm just going to call it SLA. Keep it
Okay,
simple.
that's good.
It's a 3D printer that uses the laser curing, high precision laser curing.
With goop.
With goop through so you can't really see it being printed the same way you can with a extrusion-based printer because it's behind the shielded glass. But it's nice. Same price as the old one. It's called the Form 1 Plus, and people who have the old one can swap out and get the upgrades by paying $800.
So will they send like a upgrade
yeah.
package? You just take some old pieces off and put new ones on?
I think you have to send your kit in.
It's faster? Is that the
faster?
is the
and
resolution
The
better?
laser is stronger now. It's just a stronger laser that cures faster.
Okay, so that's why it's faster because the laser is stronger.
Yes.
That's interesting. I think that's it for news unless anybody else has anything they want to add.
No.
I'm going to play some music and then we'll talk about what we've been testing. Hey, Norman Chen.
Mm-hmm.
What have you been testing?
I have been testing a Pebble smartwatch.
I've been testing a Pebble
It's a Pebble.
smartwatch as well.
Nice fancy
Um,
wristband.
Yeah, this is the
Is
leather
that the
one.
Is that the one it comes with?
Comes with.
Oh.
Yes, I like the leather one. Will has his.
I put the
he
metal
swapped
one
out
on.
the
Yeah,
metal one.
I like the metal one better. I
Really?
think. Yeah.
It's funny.
I don't like metal wristbands.
Oh, you don't like metal. You don't like touching metal.
No, there's someone else in
No, Jeremy doesn't like touching
touch
metal also, but you got a real weird rash after that handcuff incident.
You got a rash?
After the handcuff incident.
Yeah, the Lego handcuff thing.
He's like, I don't remember, and that makes me even more frightened. Yeah, you know that handcuff incident.
We both have the silver face, and there's also one that's a matte black, the gunmetal face. So
Yeah.
that one might be better with the leather strap. I like it a lot.
I was super pleasantly surprised, like, by how useful it is.
I really want to try the Ringly.
the Ringly is
The Ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
What does it tell you? What
It tells you when
information?
you're getting messages. So it comes with an app that's color coded, so you can set the different colors to mean different things.
Okay.
So like if I'm getting a text from you guys, it could show up as a green buzzing.
Okay.
And so it just is supposed to be like a passive alert system for.
It's kind of like the mood orbs
Yeah.
that used to be back. Remember those in the early
Oh, what was
thousands?
it? The ambient orb.
Ambient
Or
orb.
I
like
have
your
one of
Nabaz
those still.
tag,
Oh,
What?
the Nabaz tag.
Yeah,
The rabbit
the
with
bunny.
the ears.
The
Yes.
Wi-Fi bunny.
Oh, we have one of those too.
I have one of those like right somewhere there, the second
I
generation.
loved those so
I thought it was really
much.
neat.
It's just a closed
Loved
system.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
The-
didn't work very well.
So the idea with the Ring is that, I mean, when my wife saw the Pebble Steel, she was like, "That's amazing! If only it wasn't an enormous, big, dumb-looking watch that
Well,
guys
so for
would wear."
example, if I was in an important business lunch, for example,
Yes.
and I had usually you would have your phone out on the table, and so things would be popping up at you and kind of distracting you, unless you flipped it over or did the really polite thing and keep it in your bag.
Yeah.
But if I had the Ring on, like say I had it set like if my mom calls, it shines blue. I would say, oh, I'm waiting for an important call from my mom. Like I have to go take this.
Yeah.
but
Excuse
without
me.
having, excuse me for a second. So it's supposed to be like you know what kind of information is coming in, but without it being extremely, although I guess a light up ring is kind of distracting.
I'd much rather have a vibrate, like just a little tiny. I mean, because the thing that you realize having the vibrating watch on your wrist is that your arm is much more sensitive than, say, your jeans pocket area to vibration.
Yeah, I never feel my phone buzzing.
Neither
in my
do
pocket. And I
You
mean,
don't get
I'm not
phantom
wearing
buzz?
like giant cargo jeans or anything. Like they're pretty, it fits in there pretty well. But I miss calls all the time,
Yeah.
and it drives everyone crazy.
I get the opposite.
Really?
where
You get phantom buzz?
Phantom buzz. where
That's a
I think
real
it's-
thing.
Where it's
It is a
buzzing.
real
It's like,
thing.
oh nope, the phone's actually out here, but I thought it was vibrating there.
Yeah.
I just thought I was a crazy person that needed more constant
No,
feedback about how
totally real.
awesome I am.
So the way all these things work is that they're extensions of notifications
Yes.
or your or your lock screen. So things that you would normally access your phone, your smartphone, which does everything at a glance, pulling down notifications or glancing at the start screen for like time, for example, it is the first worldiest of first world features.
Kind of, but the thing that I found as a result of this is that I want much more granular control over notifications than either iOS or Android really give me. Like, I want to be able to say in an email client, here are the 5 people who I want to get notified when they send me an email, and everyone else just gets in the queue and I'll check when I see. You can kind of do that with VIP lists and Apple Mail, but most of the other, like Gmail, the Gmail apps and the Boxers and the mailboxes and stuff like that don't give you that level of granularity.
Yeah.
And like, it's a real tough trade-off for me on iOS with Mail especially is, do I take the less functional iOS Mail app, or do I take the more functional thing that doesn't notify properly, or do some weird hybrid of the two?
Yeah, I had that same problem with email because I use Mailbox,
Yeah.
and I can't turn off notifications for. I think it just shows you if you have notifications on, you get the information for all the
All of 'em.
mailboxes, and my Bacon account is just like off the charts sometimes.
Yeah.
with too much mail, and so I just turned everything off because
Hold
it
on,
was driving.
Bacon account?
Yeah, Bacon, BACN.
What's a Bacon account?
Oh my God, it's like it's spam you want.
Oh.
So like all of your mailing list stuff or social media notifications or anything like that, it's not spam.
Yeah.
It's Bacon.
I just turned all that stuff off.
Isn't that
I have
the
no Bacon.
social tab on?
It's essentially the new
On
Gmail
the- on the
social tab.
okay.
Yeah. So I used to make
You had a dummy
handcrafted
account,
filters.
basically.
No, it's not my dummy account. It's my early sound account that I use. I'm okay saying it because I use it for everything.
Okay.
It's my Google Plus account. It's my Drive account. All that stuff. But it's also the email address I use for signing up for sites and for mailing lists and things
Got
like
it.
that. So I keep that siloed.
Oh,
away
this isn't
from
a service. This is just lingo.
It's a, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
no.
this
It's
is just what people
it's
call.
just nerd lingo. Yeah.
So I use. See, it's funny because
It's
I've
possible
never
that
called
me
it
and Patrick
bacon.
Norton are the only people who have ever called it that.
occasionally we have. Well, no, it's weird
No,
because
there's a Wikipedia page.
Oh, there is BACN,
BACN.
and is it as described?
As described, is email that has been subscribed to and is therefore solicited, but is not often read by the recipient.
Well, it's funny because like when you work with somebody for a long time, you develop kind of an internal dialogue.
Yeah.
That where you just say one word and that fills in a massive amount of backlog for the other person. It's always fun to hear like other people.
And that is what I just did.
Yes,
and then
what
I
you
was like
just did.
surprised that I had to explain
No,
it.
it's good.
I was like, what?
So I use SaneBox for that. Like SaneBox is a service that you give access to your Gmail or whatever email accounts, and then they look at who you respond to
Yeah.
and which emails you open quickly after they come in, which ones you don't, and it filters stuff into. That was almost bad.
I use unroll.me.
Oh, I've not tried that.
It doesn't sound as smart as what you're describing.
So mine is smart but it's occasionally super dumb.
Okay.
But it knows that like if I get an email from Norm or from Adam or from Gina, then I usually look at that pretty quickly and respond to it. So those guys stay in the main box, and then everybody else gets dumped off into a "come look at me later" folder.
Ooh, yeah, I wouldn't like that.
Well, it's actually really good because I just find that I look at it like twice a day rather than 400 times a day, and I don't get notifications for stuff that doesn't pop up in the main window.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
it took a little bit of adjusting, but I'm okay with it. Like I'm pretty happy with the way it works now.
That would make sense if you had one main email address.
Well, it does it for all your emails.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of siloing.
No, because it goes in the same folder. So this is why I'm using Boxers, because it lets me aggregate one folder
And now
on
you're
the
using
client.
another app to recombine all of these things.
No. It lets me see the later folder on
Okay.
all my accounts, just like a unified inbox does on the
Okay.
iOS mail app.
All right. Interesting. Sorry.
And
that's
then
a
I
lot
also
of
have 15
explaining.
other services that make more sense. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Email man.
So notifications. I want more granularity in notifications, though. I want to have a really high level of control over what's allowed to make my phone buzz. We did a video about pizza stuff earlier this week, Norm.
Yes, pizza steals and stones.
Stones and making pizza at home. And
Yes. I'm going to watch that.
do you make pizza at home?
I do.
Do you use a stone or do you
don't.
use a mesh pan?
I have a mesh pan.
Okay.
Yes, I have used that. I've also just used a baking sheet. I've used a few different methods.
Are you happy with your results?
So far, yeah.
Okay.
Pretty well. But I just don't want to throw money into a pizza stone because I just don't have any place to put it.
So I just leave mine in the oven. That's one of the things people say is, and it's the thing I learned from either America's Test Kitchen or Alton Brown years ago, is that if you put a stone in the oven, it helps even a crappy oven that heats
Yes.
unevenly give you a more even heat throughout the
Yes,
thing. Just
I've
because
heard
more
that.
mass in there is good. But you should watch the video if you're interested in making pizza at home. People asked for it for ages because we were talking about the baking steel, which is a kind of fancier version of the stone, and holds more heat because it's a lot massier than the stone is. But we were making like pizza with crazy blackened awesome crusts and all that stuff.
Sad. I did not know you guys were doing that.
Oh no, we could come over for pizza
I
sometime.
want to come over for pizza.
Yeah, but it became a part of our regular routine, and it's fun. Making pizza is fun. That's
Yeah.
the takeaway.
It is really easy too.
and much easier than most people think it is.
And you can just find stuff in your fridge and make pizza out of it.
That is a really dangerous way to live. But yes, Norm, you shouldn't find. I've seen your fridge.
Everything
You shouldn't
pie.
find stuff in your fridge. Welding. I learned how to weld this week, or taught myself how to
nice.
weld this week. Many people I've known for a long time, like Patrick, I was like, yeah, you can weld. It's no problem. He's right. It's really easy.
Hot glue gun.
Hot glue gun for metal. Like there's some real basic stuff about where grounds go and not electrocuting yourself and not going blind. But aside from that,
Yeah, the not going blind thing is important.
well, but the thing I didn't realize is that the modern welding face shield thing.
Yeah.
Well, also you can get sunburn from welding. I didn't realize that.
Oh.
Like it produces a lot of UV light, the arc. And so you wear like long sleeves and gloves and the whole thing and the thing that covers your neck. But the modern face shields are like really heavy tinted sunglasses. And then as soon as the arc fires, they blacken before the light gets through to you. Wow. So you can see, and you don't have to, like in the old days, I think people had to line up all their stuff and then pull the glasses down. Now you just leave it on all the time and you can see through it.
And what did you weld?
I practiced welding, but I'm building a desk. So I'm building a desk. It has a wooden top that's almost done, and then it has this metal frame that's all cantilevered and awesome, I hope.
I took a soldering refresher course at Tech Shop.
Oh, that's fun.
Within the last few months, just because I wanted to, I had done it in high school tons.
Yeah.
And then I had done it occasionally throughout the years for projects we were doing for Techzilla. But I just wanted to make sure, Ryan hadn't done it in a long time either, and so we just thought it would be fun to go to Tech Shop and take a class, and it was great.
Well,
And I was better than him.
and that's one of those things where you have smaller hands.
Not really.
No?
I have very large lady hands.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before.
Yeah, we had an
Probably,
extended conversation.
Yeah.
He, soldering is one of those things that I learned. I like welding. I kind of listened to a bunch of people and then watched a couple of videos on the internet and was like, okay, I feel like I can probably try this, and figured it out. Soldering, I learned the same way, and as I've talked to people who are actually good at soldering versus people who are, functional at soldering, I bet you learn stuff that is incredibly useful. Like learning sometimes there's value to learning the right
Yes.
way to do something.
Actually, I was pretty impressed by how much I had retained from high school, like electronics class.
Did they talk about like surface mount and stuff like that? Surface mount soldering, where you have like a tube of paste that then you heat and you squirt that on what you want to solder, and then you heat the whole thing up, or use a heat gun or something.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about that.
Okay, Jeremy's deep into that now.
That might be interesting to try.
Yeah, it's fun. We did that. I did that when we were putting a heating pad on the heated build plate on a 3D printer once, because you had to put on millions of little resistors to actually make the heat. It was fun. And then the last thing is I bought a waterproof Kindle case because I like to take baths and I like to read.
That's smart.
And I was tired of using a Ziploc bag or just risking everything and keeping the dry hand.
That's what I did.
Always the dry
Yeah.
hand. But there's always the fear, like,
Then it's a dry, dirty hand.
yeah, and there's always the fear you might nod off, and you always have like this is the super pruny hand, and this is the not pruny hand.
Yeah.
Norm's really uncomfortable.
How did it work?
It makes it a lot bigger. So I bought the one. It's the one that just keeps popping up on my Kindle with offers as an offer. Hey, I see you like Kindles and you use this a lot. You might like a waterproof.
And I can tell you're bathing right now, so you should probably
Exactly.
look into this.
The camera lets me know that. It works really well. It makes it a lot bigger. I wish that it was kind of easier to get it on and off. So it's an Incipio case. It's an Atlas case, I think is what it's called. And it like in order to get it off, you have to use a nickel or something to kind of wedge a couple
I
of
don't like
pops
that.
off.
Yeah. Oh, okay. It's on the case themselves. You don't have to make contact with the Kindle.
No, you don't have to touch the Kindle. The Kindle's all like protected in like a shock mount inside the case, so it adds a fair amount of bulk. It's about the same way to say like an iPad Mini after you put the case on, which makes it significantly heavier.
How much does it cost?
I think it was $30 or $40, so it was kind of expensive.
Yeah.
Like if I were going to the beach, if I were the kind of person who went to the beach a lot, as you can tell from my complexion,
Or like
I
these
do.
people in all the Kindle ads.
Yeah, they're having fun. They're active.
My cousin is in a Kindle ad.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if you remember the Kindle ads that are on the white background. They kind of look like the Apple ads.
Yeah.
And it's the guy and the girl.
Mm-hmm.
The guy's my cousin.
Oh,
My first cousin.
that's fascinating.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
I always thought
Factoid about Veronica.
I always thought that those were just, computer constructs. I didn't think that they were real people.
Funny story about that now.
Your cousin's a computer.
I'm a computer.
He passed the Turing test.
Yes, very well.
It's neat. If I were going to the beach a lot, I would totally take that with me so that I would feel better about not getting grit and other crap into my Kindle. But it's also a $100 device, so kind of, you take your chances, you pay your money. Anything else? Anything else you guys have been testing? We should talk about books a little bit while you're here.
Okay.
Everybody always asks. It's one of our questions. Actually, it's one of our questions, so I'm going to use it in the questions segment.
Let's see. What do you want to talk about?
Will's going to launch the question segment.
Is there anything?
Oh, there's a thing.
Anything you've been testing you want to talk about?
No.
Did you take any gadgets or anything with you to
All
to
burner
China?
things.
Yeah. So what did you do with it when you're done? To take it to donate to some school or something, or is it in the next time we go to China pile?
I'm giving the laptop, or I'm selling the laptop to one of my girlfriends.
Okay.
And with the caveat that it has been in China, and I cannot vouch for it's going to be wiped. It's going to be totally like run through the ringer.
But who knows?
But who knows?
Could have BIOS level.
Who knows?
But so, just to be clear though, the burner laptop and your real laptop both were made in China.
Yes.
This is not its first. If you had taken your
going
MacBook,
home.
I actually went to Shenzhen
Okay.
and saw where some of the things happen.
really?
I totally left that
Did you
out
go
of
to like the
whole
electronics
discussion.
market and all that stuff?
Yeah, but we didn't go into it. We drove past it. We didn't have time. 'cause we
Okay.
had to get back to
Oh,
Hong
bummer.
Kong. But we went to Eagle and we went to a couple other factories
Mm-hmm.
and places. We did not go to Foxconn. We drove by it. But yeah, Eagle is one of the places that does like Apple earbuds and things like that. So it was pretty interesting to see.
The iFixit guys,
Does it let you take pictures inside?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, not at all.
the iFixit guys always talk about like the electronics mart in Shenzhen
It's-
as like the most amazing place in the world if
It's
you're
like
an electronics nerd.
18 blocks long.
Yeah.
It is, and
And
like
4 or
China
5
blocks.
stories.
And so it is just as
Yeah.
far as the eye can see. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
All burners. Okay. Okay, so
I
let's
brought
play.
my Kindle with me.
Oh, it's compromised.
Didn't go on Wi-Fi though.
Oh, you turned it off. It was
Yeah.
in
Airplane, whole
offline
time,
mode.
yeah.
The whole okay. This level of paranoia is something I appreciate. I'm going to play some music and then we'll take some questions.
Emails?
Well, but we do the other one.
Emails.
'Cause it's, we don't do emails. We do
Emails?
No.
Questions?
Boom.
If you have a question for This Is Only a Test, the email address is podcast@tested.com. Please keep your questions relatively short and to the point. And if you record an audio question, make sure you don't sound like you're being run over by a herd of livestock. Our first question comes from Jeff, who says, "Hey, Tested folks, how about another summer reading show, but maybe early summer?" I think he's talking about when we talked about reading books last summer and book recommendations. So I'm going to choose to believe that that's what this means. And since you well established that you are co-host,
Co-host.
you and
Yeah.
Tom
Yeah, we're
of
co-hosts.
Sword and Laser.
You can say host. Doesn't
Host.
matter.
I didn't want to step on anybody's
We
toes.
are equal hosts.
We love Tom. Okay,
Equal hosts.
so it's co-host then.
Yes.
Okay. Sword and Laser, which is a fantasy science fiction book podcast / video series.
Slash book publisher now.
Publisher of
Oh,
anthology
right, yes.
Yeah,
stories.
The short story anthology.
Is it out? Is it out?
It
now?
is totally out. We just got on
cool.
Kindle this week too.
Awesome.
Yeah. Sword and Laser anthology.
So I figure it's a good time to talk about books.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've been reading a lot of books this month because of all the travel. Probably the biggest book, both in terms of probably what I enjoyed the most and also it is the longest, would be The Lions of Al-Rasan by Guy Gavriel Kay.
Okay.
I don't know if you've read Tagana or any of his other
No,
books. But he's a fantastic author, and this is kind of it's high fantasy in many ways, but it's also kind of an alt history. It takes place in a location similar to the Iberian Peninsula.
Okay.
So there's people who are Spanish-like. There's people who are Muslim-like. There are people who are Jewish-like, but it's really more of a romance.
No Portuguese, I hope.
I don't think so. Maybe, perhaps. So it's a romance tale, but the romance really comes second place, I think, to this action political intrigue type tale. So we read it for the other book club show I do.
Vaginal
for
Fantasy.
Vaginal Fantasy.
Yeah, okay.
But it would have fit in perfectly with Sword and Laser too, no problem. So that was a really fantastic read.
Cool.
I loved it. I just finished Shards of Honor, the first in the for Verkosigan saga by Lois McMaster Bujold, who is, she did Curse of Chalian. She's a fantasy author, she's a sci-fi author, she's a multi-award winning author, and also a really lovely person. So that series is great. There's tons of books in not only the Verkosigan saga, but also, so there's
It's
some
a shared
discrepancy.
universe, right?
There's a lot of
Yeah.
shared universe stuff going on. So I just finished that, and it was really fun. I will probably continue on with that series. I also read Blackbirds by Chuck Wendig.
Oh.
Who you
Hold
kind
on,
of
I
look
know
like,
Chuck
actually. You
Wendig.
guys kind of look alike.
It's beards and glasses. We all
Yeah.
look the same. It's well known, well established.
He's great.
Hold on, what else did he write? I've read stuff by him.
He's written a lot of books about how to write, but Blackbirds is one of his biggest series.
Okay.
Miriam Black series. He just came out with a new one the third in that trilogy called Cormorant, and I think it's Blackbirds. I can't remember the middle one.
Under
Any
the
extent.
Empyrean Sky and Blue Blazes?
No, I don't
No.
think it's the same series.
Boy, I do look like him. Norm's looking now,
I
too.
can't see.
Yeah. But that was good. It's about a girl who can tell the manner and time of your death.
Oh.
Ooh, the manor.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, I don't know if you guys ever read the anthology Machines of Death.
No. I don't read it. So anthologies are one of those things that I don't generally read. I like novella length is kind of the shortest I go.
Gotcha. So this is a series. It's all short stories, and the premise being there is a machine, and the machine will tell you how you will die. It won't necessarily. It can be a little vague. It can be like you're going to die of drowning, and instead of dying in an ocean, so you may avoid oceans and lakes your entire life.
Yeah.
But then you may actually get some kind of illness that causes your lungs to fill with fluid. So that you may still die of drowning, but
Is
not the way you
that
expect.
not to worry?
Yeah.
Huh?
Not to worry? Is that the lesson?
Basically, it's like you just live your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, because shit happens.
Yeah.
And so that they've come out with 2 anthologies, Machine of Death and Machine of Death 2. But so this one kind of reminded me, this style kind of reminded me of that a little bit. But it's very fun, very gory, very sweary. So if you like that kind of thing, Chuck Wendig is your man.
Sounds good to me.
Great writer. And then I also read, and now I'm reading the second book in the Lady Trent series by Marie Brennan. They're written as memoirs of a female naturalist in an alt history that's kind of like Victorian England.
Ooh.
And she studies dragons.
Oh.
And so she
She's
travels
a
around.
dragonologist.
Yeah. And so she calls herself a natural historian. And so she travels around this world, and which is difficult for her because she's like a Victorian lady, or supposed to be, but she kind of battles against those ideals. And she wants to learn, but she is also kept back by her status as a woman. So yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Have you gotten the new Pat Rothfuss book yet? It's coming out this fall, I think.
No, I have not. I'm not beta reading it. Yeah.
I'm so
Not beta reading
excited.
it yet.
Yes. So excited about when he said, "Hey, I have a mystery book that's coming out between the second and third book in the Kingkiller Chronicles."
Yes. Chronicles.
Chronicles.
Yeah.
I was very excited.
King Killer
about it. King
Chronicle.
Killer.
No, you're right. It's singular.
Singular.
Yeah, King
We got
Killer
it. It's
Chronicle.
very, one time I said the song
Right?
of Fire and Ice.
Oh, you were.
Oh no.
People were really. That was even before the TV show.
No, you're right. I think it is. It might be plural. No, it's not.
Chronicle.
It's not. It's
okay.
Chronicle.
Very good. I just reread like yesterday on the plane basically the Robopocalypse book by Daniel
H. Wilson.
Daniel H. Wilson, which is like I think I read that when it came out. He just released the sequel, came out a couple of days ago,
Robogenesis.
Robogenesis. And I was really pleasantly surprised by how kind of smart that book is on the second reading.
Smart. He
You-
is a smart dude.
You guys interviewed him on Sword and Laser, right? Or for something else, maybe.
We didn't know. I interviewed him at. I was on a panel with him at Engadget Expand.
Okay.
A couple of years ago, and we had dinner as part of the panel. And he's just a really, really smart guy. I think we did have him on Sword and Laser. To
this
it's
point,
hard
you've
to
done so many
remember.
episodes that I know you got
We've
to
interviewed so many authors. It is hard to keep track sometimes. It's pretty fun.
But so reading that book, it's about a robot apocalypse,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it came out 2 or 3 years ago, probably at this point. But you know, it's about the machines basically rising up and taking over, and it's set in a what at the time seemed like a fairly distant future, and today seems like much nearer a future because it's about self-driving cars and smart cars and stuff like that. And it's quite frankly terrifying. I mean, it is. You look around. We don't have humanoid robots walking around helping us with our day-to-day lives, but you know there are cars driving around by themselves that are completely outside of human control at this point, and you know that's only going to get bigger as time progresses and become more of a thing. So it's interesting. I'm excited to read the sequel.
Yeah, I haven't read them yet. I feel bad too because I really wanted to. I just haven't had time. I read The Martian by Andy.
Oh, The
Weir.
Martian's great.
Super good.
It was really intense. It wasn't at all what I was expecting coming in. I was expecting some kind of Kim Stanley Robinson kind of vibe, but it has a lot of that hard science,
Yeah,
science fiction.
I just read Shaman.
Were
by
you-
Kim Stanley Robinson?
Oh, I haven't read that.
Yeah.
Is it the weather one or is that another Mars
No.
book?
That's
The weather one is 200 days of rain or something.
Oh, and then there's 2020.
Kim Stanley Robinson's the
He's
red.
prolific.
Yeah, and has like 3 different universes that are
Yeah.
constantly being added
Right.
to. Were you pleased with the ending of The Martian?
I wanted more.
Yeah, I felt like it kind of, we got
felt
to a
very
point and it was like,
Yeah,
boom,
it was like,
okay, we're
done.
done. Everything worked out, or not, as the case may be.
Yeah. But that was my only. I was bummed about that because I kind of wanted to see the ending unfold a little more.
Well, you know, we'll see.
I don't know spoilers.
No. It's worth reading though. I thought.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
quite enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And then I read Proof which is by Adam Rogers. We talked about it a little bit a few minutes ago, but it's actually nonfiction.
Yeah.
about-
Good luck getting me to read nonfiction. I just do not have the time.
It's about booze.
Yeah,
It turns
the
out.
opposite of Jamie Heineman.
Does he only read nonfiction?
Only reads nonfiction.
Ryan only reads nonfiction.
There's
And
too
he
much in
thinks
the world.
I'm crazy that I only read sci-fi fantasy. I'm like, it's my job.
I kind of fall asleep sometimes when I read nonfiction. Because the problem with nonfiction is if I reach a point where it's about something that I already know about, I don't feel like I can skip ahead, but I also get bored and fall asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Oh, well.
yeah. Anyway, Proof's really good. It was very interesting. It's about how they make booze and science.
I do like that.
Yeah, we all
I
like
like
booze.
both those
We all
things.
like science.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I like Adam Rogers.
We talked to Adam at length, and there'll be a video up on the site in a few weeks with that. Anything else? Anything you're looking forward to?
So much.
I mean, there's a new Scalzi book coming soon.
Yeah.
There's another Charles Stross. Are you a Charles Stross reader? He's a little more. I know you're more on the fantasy side.
I read Rule 34.
Oh, Rule 34. It starts slow. Oh, we've talked
yeah,
about this before.
yeah.
It starts slow, but it ends strong.
That is the only Charles Stross I've read.
You'd probably like the. He has a fantasy series that's it's called The Family Trade. That's okay. It's
Yeah.
like it's been going for a long time. But the thing that I love that he does are the laundry novels.
Yeah, it's hard because I start so many series for the shows,
Oh,
and
I'm
then I
sure.
just never have time to go back to them because I have to read something else the next month.
Oh, right.
And so I have to try to cram in as much as I can. Like I've had a lot of free reading time this month because I finished my books early, so I've been going back to some series and continuing on with them. But it's kind of the downside.
What's your approach? Like, do you when you have reading work
A
to
window,
do?
yeah.
Yeah. Do you sit down and take 4 hours on Saturday afternoon
It's a
and
two-pronged
read?
attack.
Okay.
So I read every night before bed, as much as I can until I fall asleep, and then I listen to audiobooks.
Okay.
So I do a lot of Whisper Sync. So if I'm doing errands or
Like
walking
you're in the
or on
car,
the subway
okay.
or in the car, I can switch over to Whisper Sync and do it on Kindle. Do it on
Audible.
So I have that two-pronged attack.
They're
so I can
integrating
get
that in the
things done.
Kindle app now,
Yes,
too.
I know.
What's
They
the best
integrated
setting?
Goodreads into the Kindle.
That's
as
great.
well.
I
Audible
love that.
subscription, worth it?
Yeah.
Well, it depends.
Audiblepodcast.com/sword to get a free 30-day trial and a audiobook of your choice, absolutely free.
Wow.
That's audiblepodcast.com/sword.
When you subscribe, do you have to keep the book that you
Yeah,
download?
of course.
Okay. It's always there. You get the one token
So-
or whatever.
Yeah, it's basically like one a month for $9 or something, and then
14.
14. Yeah, and then you can. But they also discount others. The other thing that Amazon's been doing since they started doing the Whisper Sync for voice is a lot of Audible audiobooks are really cheap if you bought the Kindle version.
Yes. Yeah,
So,
that's
like,
pretty cool.
Like I read Dune a few months ago, which I read probably when I was 13 years old, and it's like,
A lot of them are free.
Yeah.
They will say, oh, it's in your library. Here you go.
or you can
But which
like,
way?
the Kindle
if you
version.
buy
If
the
you bought
audiobook
the-
first,
No, oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of paperback books.
Yeah.
So if you owned a paperback or hardcover version of a book,
the Kindle's
some
okay.
of the Kindle is free.
or it's $1.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
super cheap.
But even the audio version is cheap sometimes
Yeah.
now. So you can get a $4 audiobook to go along with your.
You
with
definitely
your other
want to.
book.
I usually go the other way. I usually use my credit to buy a
Oh.
book, and then I get the slightly cheaper version of the.
Of the Kindle
Kindle.
version. Yeah, makes that makes sense. It's hard. So I'm not super keen on Audible audiobooks just in general because
You
I don't
haven't
spend that
listened
much.
to the right ones.
Well, no, it's not that. It's that I feel like I don't absorb as well.
Okay.
And so I like car time for me is podcast time
Yeah.
or music time, depending on whether I'm at a
I've
podcast or
almost
not.
totally stopped listening to podcasts because of the audiobook thing.
Yeah, it's
so.
a terrible format. I
Yeah.
mean, really, nobody should podcast. It's just, I don't even know. Let's take another question and see where we're at. Hey guys, this is Eric from sweltering Arizona. Currently, I have been a dedicated listener all the way back to Maximum PC and really enjoy listening to your podcast. Knowing that I would like to get into photography, my brother has indefinitely lent me his Canon T3 Rebel. I just wanted to ask Norm for any suggestions for online resources or blogs that will be helpful to me as I start out in the world of photography. Thanks, guys.
Yes. Strobist. Just go read Strobist.
STROBIST .com.
Let me see if it's .com. It is strobist.com.
And you do a regular column too on the site. So check Living with Photography because there's a ton of good, kind of specialized exploration there. Quadcopter Fridays. Chris Kaminsky wants to know, is that coming back?
Yes, just trying to find the right time for it. And Jeremy's quadcopter is currently being repaired.
Did he? Oh, it's still not back.
It's not back.
Oh, that's
He's
sad.
not allowed to check again.
What do you mean he's not allowed to call him
Tech
anymore?
support people
Stop
said stop asking. It will be back eventually when it will get fixed.
Ouch.
Poor Jeremy. This is why I think you should build your own quadcopters now. I'm completely around on this. You build your own, then it's on you to fix it. You
Yeah,
don't have tech
Don't
support.
have to wait.
Yeah, exactly. So that'll do it for us this week, I think. Veronica Belmont, thank you for coming by and joining
Of
us on This
course.
Is Only a Test.
Thank you for having me.
If people want to find out more about you, they can go to many places on the internet.
Yes. Primarily about.me/Veronica, or on Twitter, I'm just at Veronica.
Okay. And Sword and Laser is like Tuesdays or something?
Yeah, we do a regular episode every other Tuesday,
Okay.
swordandlaser.com, and then we are doing a lot of Google Hangouts that are usually also happening at that same time slot, so you can see the author interviews live.
Cool.
And we usually post the author interviews on the podcast on the off weeks that aren't a regular book club
Okay.
episode.
Cool. And Vaginal Fantasy is
Last Tuesday of every month.
Okay.
But except this month, where it's going to be the first Tuesday of July.
Okay.
Because we needed more time because people were traveling and doing stuff. So, and
Life.
the book is longer than most of the other books we've read too. So, giving it a little extra week.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, thank you for coming by. We'll be back next Thursday, as always, with another episode of This Is Only a Test. And what, are we not going to be here next Tuesday? Next Thursday?
No, we'll be here.
Oh, I thought you were shaking your head.
Oh, no.
Today's outro comes again from Stephen Westfeld. If you want to submit an outro, then go to Google and type raw outro song file, and it will take you to a page with the instructions for making an outro for us. I have no idea what this one says because I didn't listen to it before the show, so it could be really, really horrible. We'll see you guys next week. Hi there, I didn't see you.
Tested.
Franklin 3D Star Trek chess set. Guess who has one?
You bought one?
Yeah, I bought one.
Well, that wasn't too bad.
Yeah, not super cleverly edited, but well done. A memorable moment.